Okay. Hi, everybody. I hope you all are doing good today. Um, let's see here. I'm gonna pop open the stage. We could take a look at what you guys are saying. So we got Bokan here. We got Getters. Hey, good to see you guys. And let's just kind of scroll up a little bit here. Uh, and Celeste, Kinky. It's great to see you guys as always. Danger, awesome, absolutely. Now, it's hey Boken. uh, what I'm really excited about today. Today is going to be a really interesting stream. For anyone that's been paying attention to the announcements on Midjourney, you are probably familiar with the new SREF stuff, source reference, and we'll be getting into some of that today. But just to kind of get everyone started here, because if you're new, you may not know where to go here on Discord. So if you are looking at Discord here, you can actually hover on the left here, on the left side of your screen, and you'll see all the channels. There's a lot of channels here on on the Midjourney Discord. But if you scroll down, you're going to find the stage where we are talking right now. And right above that, you'll see VC Text and VC Create. What is in the middle of my screen here is VC Create. This is going to let us all prompt stuff together. And then VC Text is where you can, I can see what you want to say, interact with the stream, all that kind of stuff. And then everything gets uploaded to YouTube about a week or a week and a half later. It really depends on how busy I am. So I wish I didn't have to sleep in order to get everything done. But I'm definitely having a lot of fun with it though. So it's great. Thank you for linking it too, Kinky. So when it comes to, let me actually drop this down a little bit. I don't need the chat open there. Here, let's drop that, and there we go. Okay. So, I've been kind of like obsessed with SREF. So like we're gonna get like right into that. But you didn't shower since the G6 came out. Please do not be the stereotypical basement dweller AI bro, please. Because that's the immediate thing I get, like that visual that's been cartoonishly depicted of everyone who uses image generators and stuff. It's like the South Park episode of WoW, or like where they have the World of Warcraft stuff go on. Like that's kind of what I imagine they think. Whenever there's whenever I read AI bro, it's just kind of everyone gets lumped together there. So, but what I want to show you guys most of all though is how we're able to use SREF to quickly be able to make comics that are in the style of my previous work. So like this is kind of where I've been deep diving it hard, is because now we don't have to necessarily have the influences of our image prompts kind of manipulating the directions of our comics, and we can rely more on the words and more on our intent in order to tell stories with it. So there's a couple different ways that we can approach this, right? When it comes to storytelling with Midjourney and stuff like that. But SREF lets us be able to include not just a single image to reference, but we can include multiple images. And that's when I just kind of, my mind blew up because of this. So I'm just going to show you guys just right off the bat here. So I have 3 of my comics now as SREFs so that we can quickly refer to them and make anyone can make a Sage comic with just a couple of words now. So each one of these links that are here, and I'm actually going to post this inside of VC Text here. So this is just the ending command line. And what I want you guys to pay attention here before I send this in and we start writing stuff here, I want you first to notice that I am not using Niji because we don't have in painting and out painting with Niji yet. So a lot of the really honing this in terms of the character designs and stuff, trying to get back on model, we can't really do right now without having those tools. I will show Niji 6 later, but I know you guys are already going to like go ham with it. There will probably be other examples of it moving forward. But first thing I want to show is each one of these links that are here is a panel from my comic. So I'm just going to open this up here so you guys can see. Oops, I must have borked that URL. There we go. So you can see it's just a single panel from the comic, right? And each panel is actually a unique panel. So I tried to make sure I didn't put any of the redundant ones. And what we're going to do is we're just going to describe what we want. Because we are using style raw, we will need to describe it as a comic, because if we don't, you're just going to get a bunch of realism. Just heads up on that. So we're going to say comic panels depicting two coworkers in a 90s office space. One is blonde, and the other is a man in a suit and tie. This is just I'm really just going with as base model as I can here, guys. So I haven't described what they're doing in this 90s office space. We will get to that later. I just want to show you guys this. You'll notice also that I have the source reference weight at 1,000. And feel free to tell me, you know, if this is a good idea, a bad idea, that kind of thing, in terms of maxing out that number. But I'm trying to replicate these 4 panels as close as possible. So it will influence the results significantly. Yes, it will. So I'm going to get there. So basically, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create a base model for a Sage comic in terms of the premise of it, right? So they're just talking in this one, but I want you guys to kind of recognize here, I have 0 image prompts inside of this comic. It is just referencing or srefing the 4 Sagittarius comic panels, and look at that, like that's ridiculous. Because keep in mind, we're not in Niji at all. We are using it as a as a way to quickly be able to inject with version 6, right? So like now that I have up-res this one, this is just, I've kind of picked randomly out of the group here. But what I can do now is come into Vary Region, and I have a new version of Sage that I will be showing off here today. But this is kind of hilarious for me because you notice how freaking tiny that is. This comes from me using the Streamlabs like Chrome browser for this. So I might need to stretch my windows out for you guys to properly see, because even if I click this down here, it all just disappears for me. So I'm actually going to temporarily blow this up here. And let's see. And then move that panel across so that you guys can see what I'm doing here. There we go. That's better. Okay, I'm getting better at this, okay? That is correct. It is V6 and it's not Niji 6. So I just need to emphasize that it'll look ridiculous when we get to Niji 6, but we don't have inpainting and outpainting. So I'm sticking with V6 for now. But what I mostly want to show you guys is that inside of the comic panels prompt here, everything before sref, then what I do is I come and I delete all the text, which is evoking what Collect was saying. Any words in here is going to heavily manipulate the result, including the character continuity. So instead, I'm going to delete all the words, and let me move this over so that you guys can see a little better. Gonna let me? Is it gonna let me? There we go. Okay. So inside of here, I have a character saved, and we'll get into the saved characters here in a minute for anyone who's not familiar with this. But we're gonna write my new version of Sage, which is Sage at Work. And then the thing is that, at least in my experience with testing this, if I just send this in, it's gonna dominate the results as being it's basically as Sage. So if you did this as a variation subtle or strong, it's going to basically come up as it's going to delete comic panels. So instead, what we're going to do, Sage work is just image prompts, we are just going to highlight the things that are wrong about this female character and see if it's able to bring Sage back from this puppet that's here. So she wears a white button-up and tie. So I am going to highlight everything that is not a white button-up here. Let's go for this here. And we'll work on the expressions later. We can direct these characters later. Let me do that again here. We will direct the characters a little later in terms of their exact expressions and stuff. I'm going to be inspired by the layouts of these panels to depict that. But let's start with something simple, like her outfit here. Okay. And the thing is that what we want to do for this, and we'll get into the image prompting a little later when it comes to image weights. But for now, I'm just going to put an image weight of 3, which is the max value, so that it basically looks entirely at this text here. Like I don't know, because there's no text prompts in here, if that helps or not. But I have a very strong feeling that this is going to be important to have a high image weight on this. So I'm just going to submit that in. Okay. Shrink this back down. And part of the injection here is that you're going to see all the characters you're going to see Sage pop up, and this is all the new references for Sage that are in here, as well as the srefs, in here. So let me just shrink this down a little bit. There we go. Okay. So Collect said, "Oh no, what I meant is that sref images have text in them. The text in those images will influence the result." Absolutely, yeah. But there is not a tie. Have you tried and saved sref as a reference set code? I'll have to check what that is. But it does help, but it will be drowned out by the SW. Okay. So the main thing that I can kind of pull out from that is that the reason I kept all the text and stuff in the panels is just because I wanted it to know that it was a comic. You know what I mean? Like, in a way that is like, all right, yes, I want you to throw bubbles in there. I want you to, kind of explore around and see what, kind of standard comic layouts there are. I didn't want it to think it was just as like an image of people in an office space, because in my experience, as I was messing with this stuff, I'll hop over while this is rendering here. Oh, well, he has a tie. But I'll hop over here really quick just to show something. If I pop this open here. Nope, not that. Where is my other servers here? That's okay. I'll find it a different way. I have a couple examples from my own Discord that I've been experimenting with here. But my favorite so far, I'll just quickly render this one up. My favorite has to be this reaction that I got from let me just envelope this so I can send it. If you guys are ever wondering how you can send job IDs so that you can like prompt your previous stuff inside of here, you just come up to the reactions. You click the react here, and then you just write envelope, and it'll be that first one there, and that will send you the job ID. And I did that just now in order to send one of my previous results that do not feature comic panels. It's this one. I am in love with this result, by the way. This is so freaking funny to me. There's the bonk, like just the bonk bat alone. I have to decide who they're looking at, but they're definitely going to be responding to an inappropriate lewd joke. That's the only thing that I've kind of decided at this point. But I have the job ID for this now, so I can come in and pop back over here /show. And basically, because I have this now in Niji 5 instead of V6, right? I can quite reliably inpaint and change aspects of this, but here's the problem with it. It no longer shows a comic itself. So like, you'll need to you'll need to basically reinforce that it's a comic and then start expanding out from there. Okay, let's see what you all said here. I believe he means preferred image sets. Okay, I see. Um, oh, right click DM results. Oh, okay, cool. Felix Rex says, do you know how long the SRS will stay live? Will they expire like image prompts? In order for you to remove any sort of uh, expired images and stuff, what you want to do is you want to find the URL and just delete the everything after .png or whatever the extension is on your image, because otherwise it will have an expiration code on it. I think that's what you're evoking there, Felix. So same thing with the srefs. You just want to make sure you delete that expiration code, or even better, locally host your files. Like find a place to dump it and refer it so that you control your files and what you own and whatnot. So yeah,
there might be some changes coming with that soon.
Oh yeah,
looking at, because they're finally actually implementing the expiring.
Oh yeah.
On their galleries, their image prompts are showing up, but we are working on things related to that.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for the update. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I get it, but also, yeah, I don't like it. So what I want to say though here is that you'll notice that on the injection that we did, she doesn't have the tie, right? But now she has a white attire. It's close. It's much closer than it was before, because I can now just select the second one here. And we can just keep going until we have a complete Sage comic. But you'll notice here that there's no words at all in here. It's just the image references for Sage at Work. And so what I do here now is we can actually direct Sage, and words will certainly influence these results significantly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide this sucker over again, like that. And now I'm just going to select her face, and a bit of her hair as well, because Sage has these kind of banana buns, is what I like, these banana bangs, I call them, right? So when they're missing, it doesn't look like her to me. Like if her hair is all pulled back from her face, I consistently think that she's that it doesn't really look that much. So the thing is, if I select all three of these like this, and then I write an expression on the front of it, it's more likely going to lean that all three of these results will have that expression. But that's not really a comic, right? Like we want to make sure that there's a little bit of intent here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove one of them here, and let me try to see if I can get rid of. There we go. And we'll just rely on these two being kind of like surprise faces, just to see what actually they're already kind of surprised. What sort of reaction should we have here for these for Sage here? I will say that without relying on a high image weight, at least in my experience so far, if you include any part of her, like, there's a good chance that this face is going to influence the other faces of her pretty significantly. Make her disgusted. Okay, so let's just do disgusted. Boom. And we'll write that at the front of the prompt and have that be the only word that is inside of this prompt. And we'll see if we are able to actually, let me now shrink that back down once again. What's most likely going to happen is that we're going to do this a couple of times to really evoke that we want that we want a like a particular intent inside of this comic, right? Oftentimes when I'm prompting this stuff, like, I get inspired by the results, but what's so exciting about this is that you guys can just do it yourselves now and set up the premise, and then I can come in and we can collab on it, because I know my characters like really well. I know what features they should have, all that kind of stuff. I do add what I call like trademark features that I know Midjourney has trouble recreating in order for me to tell whether or not something is mine or not. So if we open this up now, just to take a look here. Nope, not that one. There we go. You could see here that we didn't really get much of a disgusted face. We have a little bit on the bottom right one. There's a little bit like she's kind of squinty, but you'll notice that it's kind of replicating. Oftentimes, it's replicating that middle panel. It's kind of the same face. At least from my experience of what I'm seeing here, I'm not seeing a lot of diversity for that face. So I want to try this again, but this time I am going to I'm going to make sure I select every one of her faces here. Go with something like that. And we'll try this again and see if by limiting the results to, because like I'm just getting so much bleed that's the main thing that I'm seeing here. But also my source ref is huge, like it's maxed out. So there's a good chance that what I can do here is balance between the source ref weight and the image weight in order to get myself a level of control that I'm happy with. I have a very strong feeling this is actually going to be very dependent on every comic. You one at a time, it's going to be going, okay, didn't really get it there, got to tweak this, got to tweak that until you get something that's usable. But the reason I think this might work is the fact that we're blocking out all of like the existing references by highlighting every face of hers. So let's open this up and take a look. So yeah, I this is certainly not what I was expecting. It's definitely not disgusted. Well, maybe the bottom right one here. But it's again, it's not really giving me her. At least not as I know her. So when you're in painting, you really don't need the source references anymore since the styles. That's right. Okay, cool. So collect is on the money here. What I can do is go back to the variation region here. This is how like kind of new and ridiculous all this stuff is that like your all's input is huge. Just for me not to skip steps, because like this is probably an essential step. Go to the sref, delete the sref, right? We'll get rid of the source reference weight as well because it's no longer in that code. And then we'll just go ahead and submit that instead, making sure that the word discussed is on the front there. Let me just confirm that really quick. Yep, okay. Submit. And then we'll go from there.
And it's like we're all learning together in real time. We had to do an event without clarinet the other day, and that's pretty much what we all did. We all just kind of helped each other figure out how to use the SREF system.
Yeah, it's definitely like I'm distracted doing other things too. A good portion of this stream was supposed to be the Bayrate supercut, but the reason why that's not happening is because I literally just sent it to him this morning. I was like, I'm so sorry, dude. Like it took me an extra week because SourceRef came out, and I've been obsessed and busy and just trying to keep up with what everyone wants to do here. But yeah, and I'm going to do that next week instead. Let's see. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. So we could see here that, like we're a little closer on the expressions, I would say, for sure, but we're still not really, maybe on that fourth one I can make it get closer here, but I'm so excited for DG6 in this regard because it's going to cut out some of the kind of webcomy Western influences that kind of plague this stuff right now. But if I come in and just upres the fourth one here, it's probably the closest to disgusted we've gotten so far. In terms of list, like, her expressions here, we can now come in at very region, and I'm just going to try with removing the word disgusted really quick. I have to expand this out good so that I can read it. There we go. And is this going to... Let me see it. Oh, what's going on here? There we go. Yeah, let's go for that. That's fine. Not sure if you've already discussed it. How... this is from Everton Moriah. Sorry, I can't pronounce their name. Sorry. Not sure if you've already discussed it. How to try to minimize the elements from the reference style. What would be a good type of reference? I'm seeing a lot of composition influence from the style. Yes, it definitely is true that the source reference is going to extremely lean your results towards whatever is depicted in the source reference. It's very hard to get the character, especially when you start mixing image prompts, to get the characters to be um, outside of the context that is inside of your source references. I've done plenty. I've done like they shopped at Kmart in the 90s, you know what I mean? And it works. They hold shopping bags, but it still kind of looks like an office, at least so far. You want to lower the source weight of that, and then you'll get more diversity, but you also get more probably what you intended. But let's go ahead and try to repaint some of these banana bangs and into her hair here. So I'm just going to select where I expect those bangs to be. So I'm going to go with here, here, go for another one here, and grab all that hair over here. Why not? And let's grab that there. Cool. So we'll just go ahead and submit that because you notice we have no text inside of here. So in terms of word prompts, that should make it so that it refers to as close as possible to these images that are unfortunately cut off every time I submit an in-paint here. But let's see here. The less info tokens you have in your text prompt, the lower you need to go in your source weight. That makes sense, for sure. Go ahead and pop this. Half the time, it's just because of how I have to in-paint here in Discord, guys. I apologize for having to constantly readjust this window. But whenever we're doing in-painting, especially, I find myself having to tweak this a lot. So, all right, we're still not getting those bangs, unfortunately. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we got. So it's kind of sticking. It's really, really sticking to what it had there. So I mostly wanted to show though that when we're doing these in paints here, there definitely are limits when it comes to like the context of these images. Like it's just very strict. I've noticed that it gets very stubborn when I start with an SRF. I stopped around weights. Okay, cool. So if I we're just going to kind of hop to a different SRF here just so that I can show you all three that I've prepared for you guys. Remember, if there's any questions or anything, just go to VC text by scrolling down to the stage here, and it's just above that. VC text is how you can, chat with us today, and VC create is where we are prompting stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my, I've got two different comics set up here. I got the Gates of Bill. So let me go ahead and set that up. Thank you for that, Kinky. Why is it not prompting the command here? There we go. Invisible spaces. All right. So I'll post this inside of VC text. This is for the Gates of Bill. The main difference that I get off of Gates of Bill versus the Sagittarius comics is that we get much closer to like I would say like a like a web comic aesthetic with this one. So I'm gonna do like comic panels. Let's do two coworkers in a 90s. Okay, yeah. Let's actually say comic panels depicting, just because V6 seems to be better with like whole sentences, right? While V5 was like, I just want to give a bunch of keynotes to what I'm doing. So let's do comic panels depicting 90s coworkers in a 90s office. Let's put them in an anime fight. Let's just say that one is blonde, the other is in a suit. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when we don't describe the characters, just so that you can see how much influence the SREF has and what it has influence on. My expectation is that Sage will become a brunette. So let's go ahead and submit this one in. And I have the aspect ratio set to 4:5 on all of these because that's kind of like, at least on Reddit, that is I think the best ratio that you get for reaction versus like visibility. If you are, if you want some comic advice real quick, you really want to know the format of the websites you're going to be submitting to, like wherever your audience is, and understand that if you have multiple places that you post comics to, most likely your comics are going to need to be formatted for each one. They need to be like, Instagram is going to be best as a square, Reddit's going to be best as 4:5 or maybe 2:3. There's a couple of different rules for every subreddit, or sorry, for every website, and it just comes down to to making sure that you actually put yourself in the mind of your audience and go, I can't read the text when I scroll past this image. Why would I read this? Right? It doesn't matter how good the art is. It doesn't matter how good the story is if they can't read it. So, yeah, it's important. So, if we look here, the default result that we got off of Gates of Bill, it's a lot more like they're not cutesy anymore, right? And that makes sense because in the Gates of Bill, one of the key differences that I had was there's a bit more of adult themes going on with Gates of Bill, and so there's a lot of basically people are more fuller, they're less chibi with Gates of Bill, while with Sagittarius they're going to be a little more wide-eyed and cute. So we can now see the results are, we got a couple of female characters in there, but none of them are blonde. None of them match our characters at all here. So let's do this as an image prompt instead. I'm going to now re-roll this, but I'm going to include Sage work at the beginning here, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when we don't use image weights first. Now remember, the key difference here, well, what I did before, where I was really fighting this, trying to force the image back to what I wanted, right? And it's not even there, or at least to my degree it's too often that I'm ditching panels because I can't get one or two things right, and then I go, wait a minute, I can draw. It's just I'm pretty stubborn at trying to get this as good as possible inside of Midjourney, because it means that whatever panels you guys are happy with, once you have your characters 100% in there, we're going to be able to expand on those comics and see where they go, what's going to happen to them. So the main thing you're going to see when it comes to using image prompts inside of your SRFs here is that we're going to get immediately a lot closer back to Sage, but it's going to focus heavily on her and do so in a way that may be too much. It may not really make sense. You may only get one interaction between two characters, but it's without expanding out all that sort of stuff, you're going to end up in a place where it's really focused on her, right? But look at that. It's so much closer right off the bat. We have more of her kind of like wackier hair. All that stuff's on display here. It's very cool to see. Let's see. And before I keep going, I want to read some comments here. From Collect, it is balancing act for sure, and heavily reliant on how much the SRF and what MJ wants to do naturally differ. Okay. Yeah, and I do agree with you that this is going to be a bit of a balancing act, but the amazing thing is that I can balance most of the way this image looks. Basically, how close can we get Sage to look like Sage while allowing as much freedom for Midjourney to figure things out by just including image weights now. Because I don't have any part of Sage weighted, right? I can just use the image weight command at the end here. IW. The default's 1, right? So I'm going to put let's say 3. This means that all these images that are in front of the prompt here, all this stuff here is now going to be like at 30% value of the overall image than it was before. If I make it higher than 1, it just looks like the turnarounds. It looks like our character sheets again. And so if you're new here and you don't know what, like, how I was able to get these characters, like these results on, for like these reliable turnarounds and stuff, I have streams on my YouTube where you can look at, how we build each character. The older the stream is, the more likely we've found a newer, better way to do it. So it is important to kind of recognize that. Yeah, thank you so much for linking that, Kinky. It is something that it takes a while to figure out, like how you want to have your characters built up, because there's so much of the character's personality built in the posing and everything else. So you do need to kind of run through it a couple times. So I want to show you guys here, though, with an image weight of 3, you could see maybe the top right would eventually work, but it's far less accurate to Sage now, right? So 30%, the other 70% is SREF, or is it the text prompt? It's the text prompt. Yeah, it's definitely the text prompt there. So like if I come back into here now, and if we now pump this up to, like, say 7, and we can basically see what difference it has by just including a little more weight on these images to influence that, that we want it to look like Sage. We got really close, like already, this is already pretty good. But when it comes to injecting Michael into there after this, like, I would probably do the top right one just to demo this. But yeah, let's do that really quick because we have to wait for that to render anyway. So I have Michael saved in here as well. We could quickly talk about the /prefer saving of characters. So if you have a bunch of image links, your character sheets here, I'll pull one open here so that you guys can see what the character sheet looks like. Just a moment. I'll pull up Sage's first one. Actually, no, I'll pull up the new Sage one so you guys can see what this looks like here. Believe I have it saved somewhere else. Yes, here we go. Let's go for this one. All right. So these sheets here are built by starting off with a single pose and then expanding out and writing multiple expressions, multiple poses with Niji. And so I crop each one of these poses into a unique image, and that image becomes this, these big chains here. So what I want to do here, though, is I'm going to hit /prefer, and you would write option list and then write your character's name. You can see I have a bunch of characters already saved in here. These are all from you guys and previous comics I've made and everything like that. But what we want to do is just write the name of whatever character you want, and then you're going to hit +more value, and then paste all your image links inside that value. And the only thing this does is give you a shortcut. So you can just do this. You can highlight the region here, find Michael, highlight around, make sure I select everything that doesn't really match Michael. I want to include his eyes because I kind of like that pissed off face that he has here. And I'm just going to get that here, and we'll go from there. So we will then now delete all of our text before the sref, and then I have Michael saved, so I'm just going to do -Michael, and let's give him an expression. So we're going to say upset. A common mistake that you guys do, by the way, I will say, like I do it every once in a while, much less now than I used to, but you need to have spaces between everything. Like if you put -, if I were to like accidentally not put a space between upset and -Michael, it'll probably give me an error, or just submit it and you'll never know that it wasn't included until you see all the blinks are missing and it says Michael in your prompt. If you see your -- like preset prefer stuff, inside your prompt, that means something, there's probably the space that needs to be put in there. So you can see all the Michael images are now injecting into this prompt, only in the areas that I said with the word upset at the front. The order that you do it, right, like where your word prompts are, the only thing that matters is that sref and all your other codes are at the end of your prompt. The order doesn't really matter. You save a preset by writing it and then putting the value in there and then hitting enter. I reckon just know you'll delete your characters, like the character saved, if you try it again. Like if I were to write Michael in there verbatim, it would just delete that preset. So, yeah. Bokan says the order doesn't matter. The quality do though does change. It is quite hard to. This is from Collect. It is quite hard to quantify this because they are all on different scales. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're all kind of experimenting here, and eventually, I feel like we're gonna find kind of like a good formula post, right? Just something that gets us there. But if you look here, with the image weight set to 7, that's a Sage comic, y'all. Like that, like we're really freaking close to a Sage comic on these. Really, really close. So I'm going to do 1 and 2. And I feel like they like this one especially. I feel like we could easily get them in a bitter disagreement about something and then have it be like real dumb. Like I don't know. I'm down for any ideas that you guys have. But I have been told before that I do make Sage a little too like I don't know, like girl boss bitchy and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, like understand, like my mother the Sage is partially inspired by my mother and also my wife in terms of like in some sort of like weird bizarro world. I have all 3 of the major women in my life merged into one person, and it's Sage. It's my mother's personality with my sisters at my sister's age and my wife's looks. So there you go. Hey, look, it's Rhapsody. Oh, thank you so much for answering that, Kiki. It is a little tough for me to explain that. I will be going through a character that we created here in a minute, though, because I'm just so stoked to see these comics, though. Oh my god, it looks so good. It won't be long until CREF comes out and we're gonna be able to save all this stuff, and it's gonna be awesome. All right, so look at this. Look at this. We're immediately so much closer to Michael here. We have him talking, upset, that kind of stuff. Let's up res 3. Keep in mind, we did all of this, right? Because we had the image weight. So like if we come back up to here real quick. Yeah, where is it? This one here. I gotta click this. Boop. There we go. So you could see this is without any image weights. We just kind of got lucky on this one that we liked this one. But by adjusting the image weights, we can more reliably, kind of balance our results and really make these comics. It's super cool. So let's see here. Match Sage and Michael objection. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's definitely some Ace Attorney stuff, right? Kind of going on here. So what I want to show though is now that we have this in V6 reliably, like we know that these are our characters here, I should just be able to expand. But if we do, basically if we hit zoom 2 times or zoom 1.5, excuse me, hold on. Yeah. If we hit zoom 2 times or 1.5, remember that it's going to take whatever's in your prompt and use that as the reference for the zoom. So we're going to fix that with, and if you guys haven't done this yet, you probably have done it knee-jerkingly, but you go to settings and then make sure your remix mode's on, right? Because without remix mode, you're gonna not be able to do this. So you hit /settings, make sure remix is on. That would be where? Yes, right here. This one right here. So what we want to do is, instead of hitting the zoom out buttons, we want to hit custom zoom. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete everything before the sref and just write comic panels. And we'll try one where we also delete the sref as well, because we won't really need it anymore. But the important thing here is that with the custom zoom, I am going to set the zoom to 1 in order to make it so that we don't really get it doesn't. Well, I'm kind of looking at this now, actually. This would make sense to set the zoom to 1 if we had completed panels, like if we wanted to really like focus on those panels. Let's do 1.5 instead. So there's a little bit of zoom out, not much though. And then I'm going to change the aspect ratio. Let's go for something wide. So let's do 3:2 just for now. We might go wider. And we'll see what it does with just comic panels without any description about what they're fighting about. We'll do it 2 different ways here in a minute, but I want to try this out. Oh no, I'm late. Hi Beagle. How you doing, buddy? It's good to see you. I hope the kids are doing well. It's definitely true that what we're getting into now is probably going to be how we're going to plug and play Sage Comics with you guys on my Discord, which is something that I've been so excited to see you guys doing, by the way, is just riffing off of the stuff that I'm doing, and then I just kind of sit back and see what kind of hell you guys bring upon Sage and Michael. Legal Beagle actually has a Sage the Mage character as for the fantasy series and stuff, so it's kind of fun to see all these different reinterpretations of the characters. Yeah, fire and lightning. Yeah, so much fire and lightning. Okay, so you could see here that because the sref features 2 characters talking side by side inside of the images here, it's very predictable the results we're going to get, which means in the future we can use srefs to set the composition of our comics, of the other panels that are here. So like, for example, if I wanted it to be 2 FBI agents that show up next to them, I know that this sref will reliably produce 2 characters side by side, right? So I should just be able to write FBI agents now, comic panels depicting FBI agents. Okay. And we'll run that one. But the key thing here is the composition, how much it mirrors the srefs here. So that means we can get rid of the srefs now to change that composition and have it Midjourney just kind of randomize them, right? So I'm going to delete everything now and just write comic panels. And for funsies, I'll keep the zoom at 2, and we'll do 3:2 again for the aspect ratio to keep it the same. So everything kind of holds true to that. And since we don't have any source weight on there, no source weight, we can get rid of that. Let's just submit this. Very simple prompt. No, we're really not giving any intent or direction in here. But look at this. So because there's going to be plenty of bleed from Michael, right, that's in here, the FBI agents will look like him a little bit. But it is true that we are instantly able to predict, okay, there will be 2 guys side by side all the time whenever you're using this source ref, right? We could switch the source ref when we zoom out. We could make it like a different story, a different depiction that happens here. But I really want to emphasize how much we're experimenting here. So, but we're going to be going into some weird spaces here real quick. So if you notice here, we have lost the style almost entirely because we got rid of the source ref, right? So what that means is that I can switch the source ref now that is from another one of my comics to try to evoke a different scene or a different vibe, and go from there. So let's try that out. I have a third comic that I've prepared for you guys. This one is Overtime Overdrive. And I'll post that first inside of VC text here. And so what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to go back to this. Let's go for the custom zoom. And I'm going to delete the previous sref, paste the new one, make sure I get rid of any redundant codes. Yeah. Gotta go. Bye-bye. It was good to see you, Collect. Thank you so much for coming. Boop. Okay. So let me open this up here real quick. All right, perfect. So at this point, we have a new sref in there, right? I want to get rid of all the image prompts, and I'm going to say 2 FBI agents. Now, granted, this is still referring back to my comics, okay? So like we're going for a different sref, but mostly the same characters. Vicky's in this one though, so we'll see what this does. And so at this point, though, we can see that Fractal Bob he was running a Defiance on Deck Black Afro with a gun punk skateboarding in 1980. Typographical art by Pixar, Glenn Fabry, Ralph Steadman, style 50. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's neat to be able to just be like, look, pump out a bunch of panels, but there's no real intent here, though. You know what I mean? Like we really, I don't like to click image references on stream here, so we'll check that out a little later. But yeah, wow, okay, cool. So look at this. It added a FBI. I tried to add an FBI thing to the back of Michael's jacket here. That's funny, and we just don't have any comic panels at all. But it's like way beefier. Like we do have a little bit of a guy up here. But let's go ahead and try this instead. Because I just wrote 2 FBI agents, right? So I'm going to re-roll this, and I'm going to set comic panels. Because again, style raw really requires you to have a clear description of what you want. Comic panels depicting 2 FBI agents. Okay? And if we were to still get them looking like Michael, we could even negative weight Michael out of there. So, cool. So, while this is rendering, I want to know. I want to hear from you guys. What sort of fun stuff do you guys want to see Sage and Michael doing? And we're going to try to build an original comic here. Doing that, I'm very curious what kind of stuff you want to do. But I do have another character lined up here. So if you guys get a little bored of Sage and Michael, we have another one here. And we're gonna actually build that one out so that anyone that's here for the character streams can follow along and build up their own characters. So if you're a little lost when it comes to creating your own characters here, just stick around. We're gonna get into that here in a sec. From Legal Beagle, what powers should I give Michael? I don't know enough about his personality. Not everyone needs powers, man. Everyone's a superhero. It is certainly true that if I would say Michael's a procrastinator, so it is something that you gotta figure that one out, I guess. But I want to mostly show though that we got the comic panels now. There is an FBI agent, like it still turned him into an FBI agent. But what I want to do, though, is I want to expand on these so that you guys can see what sort of effect happens here. So let's, for the sake of argument, I'm going to do the third one here. A spatial rift where Sage gets sent to a fantasy world and Michael either gets left behind or sent off to a completely different isekai. Oh, I love the ancient. Yeah, I can definitely say like, let's see here. I'll grab from this one here because the one thing we haven't done is lowered the source reference weight. We're gonna get into that here too. So I'm gonna say. Go Tex. Yeah, right. Make them all Texan. Just suddenly it's Texas. That would be fun. But let's do comic panels. Oops. Yeah, comic panels depicting a blonde woman getting thrown into a time portal, or a yeah, I guess a time portal works. To a fantasy world where what I'm hoping for here is we just basically see a big hole and there's like a little bit of greenery in it. That's what I'm expecting. Into I guess time portal works. Fantasy world. Let's just go with that. And we'll just send that in and then go from there. I believe it's just ignoring. Yeah, it ignored the zoom command that I left in there by accident. Michael watches the truck. Cool. Yeah. No, I will say this. We're about to hit 1,000 members on my Discord, and when we do, I have a couple of things planned, but I'm gonna hit you guys all with a truck. That's basically my plan. Is I'm just gonna hit everyone with a truck, and we're all gonna have fun in Fantasyland after 1,000 members. So if you're down for that, join. Just come to Movie Machine, and we'll be sure to hit you with a truck. If you make an original character, yeah, exactly, yes. Let's see what Kinky, but yep, exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen if you join my Discord. So, and I'm just going to let that roll. By the way, we're just going to let that keep repeating. So, look at this. Kinky injected her character to be beside. I believe that's her character. Yeah. One of her characters to be beside Sage here, just by injecting over Michael. It's pretty cool.
That's Virtue.
Virtue, nice. So if we look here, we have comic panels depicting a blonde woman getting thrown into a time portal to a fantasy world, and we are immediately in this like really, really beautiful comic panel layout. I really do dig the aesthetic that's happening here, but you notice it's missing a time portal. There's a little bit of blue shimmer on the bottom left of the first one here. This is because, at least in my experience so far, I have been absolutely loving the results for Overtime Overdrive, right? There's a nice amount of diversity of characters and color here that we get some really great results. So let's try to drop a couple of values here and see if we can get that time portal to show up. Okay. So I'm going to come in here and drop the source weight to, let's just do half. Let's do 500 instead. And also because I know you guys are very eager to get in the Niji here. I'll run this with Niji. But I have to say, excuse my language, but it's a bit of a ball buster on this one because I really, really, really want to be able to expand it in paint on this one. But yeah, I'll show it to you guys for now. So we'll see what we get off of those.
So it's not easy, but currently you can expand it in paint on Niji 6 on the alpha site.
On the alpha site, okay, cool.
But yeah, I'll have to go in V6 for it. It's not using the Niji 6 model.
Got it. Yeah, and I've been doing that where I switch to V6, right, in order to just do the in-painting, right? But I have to, it's definitely a bit funny when it comes to doing it. Like, I feel like I am, I'm also getting better results by dropping the Niji 5 right now. Just staying within that. Going from Niji 6 then Niji 5 has been really good for me to create a certain consistency of like the aesthetic that I'm going for, but I do lose the SRF by doing that. That's the biggest negative from that. So, see you around, Victor. Oh, it's good to see you, Bokan. Now, Bokan, by the way, I am going to be doing your character here in a little bit. So, okay, let's take a look at what we got here. Whoa, what is going on here? You guys are, whoa, go for it. Falling from a tree. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, let me just show you guys the Niji 6 results first, okay? wow, when it comes to just getting like a blonde, like a pretty blonde woman to be reacting to things, it's great. Like it's awesome for this, but it still doesn't hold the weight of like Sage herself, because I don't have any image references for her in there. So we can still use Niji for this. It's just going to not let us expand or nothing there. Hee, look at her. That's great. Oh wow, yeah, she really is falling into that fantasy world. I really do want to just make an anime with you guys. That would be a lot of fun, honestly. Like we could literally just throw this into Pika and animate an entire sequence with it. So I'm stoked for that. But I want to be able to say, hey, this is Sage, for the sake of like, getting this done. Yeah, let's do it, Rhapsody. I'm all down. So I'm gonna do Sage work, and I'm gonna drop the image weight. Let's do. I'm gonna just do 04 again. Got decent results off of that. We probably do 07. Are you making them hold hands? That's what it looks like it's gonna happen.
No, they were supposed to be arguing, but
I see.
I had trouble getting the back of her the way that he was there.
Yeah, and this is definitely true that when you're using like, yeah, I see that you're not using source weights anymore, source references, which makes sense for trying to get them to do something different than what's inside the source reference. It's a little funky for kind of explaining it because of all the weights being all over the place for this, but I am excited to get my head around it.
I still love the way it came out. I'm very happy with it. It's cute to see two people's characters together. One of
It really is.
things.
What's really cool is expanding. Right. Well, what I really like doing is saying like, okay, like let's say we really liked the third one here, right? Because you're using V6 right now, we can literally like tell them what to do together, right? So like I'll do like a custom zoom of this. And I'll say comic panels. I don't know, like let's just what do you want? What? Let's see here. Let's just say in an argument. Comic panels depicting two people in an argument. Why not? Why not? And we'll just set that at why not? So let's say like 2.5, and yeah, just boop, submit that in. And because I am, not relying on any image weights or anything like that, we're going to be a lot better when it comes to letting Midjourney just kind of figure out what these two characters are going to do, and maybe we'll get some good continuity out of that too. All right, so yeah, right, yeah, I've had a lot of luck expanding out of comic panels and basically seeing characters acting for me and seeing what they do with each other. It's a sort of like predictive storytelling that is really interesting to me. When we were doing the interview with Bayrate, he was actually really on the money about this too. He was like, as long as it's not like filling in the speech bubbles in a way that's like, kind of guiding your like everything, then you still have like artistic intent and interest. But oh my God, look at this. With the 0.4, like Sage is in her work outfit here. Like that is awesome. And she is what? Getting thrown in the time portal, right? Let's see here. Folked up OP Prince. Yes. So, if you don't mind, Kinky, if you don't mind sending the Discord, if you scroll up, you might find it too. But
definitely.
The whole thing when it comes to my Discord and stuff, guys, is that like, I just want us to make stories, right? So like, if you want to role play, have fun, do that kind of thing. At 1,000 members, I'll open the role play server. Okay. So like we'll go ahead and do all the fantasy stuff after that. But let's go ahead. I see about 856. So 150 more, and we'll start the isekai. That's my goal anyway. So what I'm gonna do though, because there's two sages in here, I kind of want to go for the top right one just to get us something. There we go. And you can see this is where my frustration hits. Because, we're not using like we won't be able to expand or have any of the tools we want. So I just switched to Niji 5 for now. Get rid of Style Raw because Style Raw is not inside of Niji 5. There's no source weight because we have to get rid of the SREF to do Niji 5. Okay. I'm just going to keep the rest that as is and then submit. It will change the context of the image, sadly, but it'll try to keep the composition. This amazing spooked sage composition, and still use the image references. So we'll go from there. Coming back to here, this is Legal Beagle's expansion, and you can notice that without the source ref, right? I believe he doesn't have the source ref on there. Yep. Without the source ref, we don't really get the continuity of the character style anymore. It's just V6, default comic panels. We might be able to re-inject that into each, character in terms of doing the image prompting. But at least in my experience, it's a lot easier to go okay, let's get a good V6 prompt going in there so that we don't have to worry about messing around with different things or anything like that. We don't have to do any style transfers and lose the image that we originally intended and loved. So, thank you. I've been told I need to trademark that name, but I'll get to there eventually. So let's go ahead and up-res this one because it's just super cool having her standing in front of the portal like this, right? So I'll do a variation region here. And I'm going to try to just inject her into there. We're gonna just do Sage work, and this is closer to Sage 1.0, where it was just more of a standard olive tea shirt kind of thing. But I'm gonna just select all of her here. Go for this. Bam. I'll just keep that. That should be fine. Her eyes are wrong though. She has kind of different eyes here. I'll leave the big black Franco eyes on there. That's fine. Let's go ahead and set the image weight to 3. Let's do 2.5 just to give us a little bit of wiggle room on that. And then I am going to drop I'm just going to get rid of the overly strong source weight. Combining all these factors together, we should be able to see, you can see all the references that it's injecting into there. We should be able to retain at least a little more control and allow the source weight to not dominate the result heavily. I love this, by the way. Whatever's going on here with Fractal Bob's little opener here, I love that giant eye that's here. Now I don't know about the background. The background's a little chaotic, but it is interesting. The walking into portal here is pretty neat because you can up-res any of these and then style transfer them to look more like Sage 2. So we can go variation subtle, get rid of this image link here, Sage work. I'm going to leave the text in there. And then I'm going to switch to Niji 5 on that. This is just a variation subtle, so we don't really know. Hey, it's Rhapsody's character. Okay, so this is really cool. So Rhapsody has a bird girl. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna call her a Tengu. Why not? Let's say that she's a Tengu. And she is gonna be one of our first truck-coon hit by the truck people. So enjoy reading her comics coming soon. I'm excited to see those. But hers are going to be more based off a Has-Been Hotel, right? In terms of the aesthetic. So, we're going to get a big variety of different stories that you guys are going to tell, and we're going to try to put them all in one world. That's the crazy thing. Um, so yeah, look at that, which is awesome. We could easily now inject one of a different character into these scenes and try to get them to interact or fight with each other, right? So if we look at what's being referenced here, which I believe is Overtime Overdrive. Let's no, it's definitely, oh yeah, look at that. It is. Awesome. The reason I can guess that is because of the glasses. It's because of just how much Vicky's glasses are taking over. And I drew those glasses, by the way. Like I drew the opacity that's inside these glasses. That was all me. So the fact that I'm able to see my own work through this trips me out. Yeah. No, just a little has been hotel influence, not much, right? We're not taken completely. You just are inspired. I want to take a standard anime style and inject more of a modern animated comic look. Yeah, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Awesome. Cool. So we got some pretty cool stuff here. If you notice here is the variation subtle that included Sage's art. That should bring us a little closer to what I would say is a Sage comic. And I think the fourth one's the closest. Keep in mind, this is a style transfer to Niji 5. So that means that if you guys are familiar with Niji 5, you can more easily now just do a standard image injection. So let's get rid of all the text that's here. That's probably screwed me up a little bit too. I didn't notice all the text at the end here. Okay. And we can now just highlight everything that is not like her character, which for this sake is going to be her top. And we can give it action if we want. But for now, I just want to try to get her in there. Then after, we can inject Michael into there too. I wanted to thank everyone for joining here today. We're going to be getting into an original character here in just a moment. I recognize we've been talking a lot about Sage and Michael, but 2 weeks ago we had Bay Rate, the guy who made Gollum's face in the Lord of the Ring movies and all the Meet the Team Fortress 2 videos. He is a legend in the 3D modeling world as well, foundational to basically every form of 3D animation that you know of. And he was on our stream 2 weeks ago, and I'll have a supercut of that out sometime early next week. So the full stream is on my YouTube, but I would recommend waiting for the supercut. It is so much more entertaining, and there's a lot more action going on in terms of me constantly prompting the things he's talking about. So wait for that. That'll be next week. We will do. I'll try to have half my stream dedicated to the supercut. So you could see that we're getting some really amazing stuff from you guys right off the bat when it comes to just exploring different image prompts, image blends, that kind of thing. Yeah, look at that. Things I worked on. There you go. Awesome. So seeing you guys exploring the SREFs here is just super, super neat to me. Because we're going to be able to say, hey, once we have it cleaned up and in-painted, we can then just expand, like how Sicilian here is doing, where they have panned over, they've made different, they're slowly building this comic. So like, if we come into here, up-res one of these, which they're already doing too. Let's say we really like this like kind of grungy Sage that's here, right? I can try. This is why I'm excited for Niji 6, is that like you can see that we're getting really close when it comes to like almost finished products, but I have to switch to either V6 or Niji 5 in order to edit the comic, to expand on it how I want. So we're just gonna do a
Love
V5.
that grungy style.
It looks really cool. I do like the idea of her wearing this kind of like green jacket. It feels a little like, I don't know why I'm leaning towards like, this is 1996 Sage versus 1993 Sage. Like, I don't know, like I have this weird timeline canon in my head for her. Not that it's very important, but it is certainly true that I want to bring grunge music into the series because it was such a big influence at the time. So look at that, look at them big arms.
Little Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh yeah, Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots. I'm blanking on all my favorites right now.
There's so many.
I know, right? Blur.
Blur.
I love Blur. Okay, like,
All right, get out of here.
no, you're good. You're good. I am just stoked to see what we're gonna be able to do once we do have V6 Niji 6 expansion. But if we look at here, this is the one that I did where it's just I switched it to V6. Okay, let's just do an expansion on this and see where this story goes, and then we can inject the art back in the way that we want. So let's do custom zoom, and then I am going to switch the zoom to 1 because we already see that we got a bunch of great panels. We don't want to lose that context. Let's just do zoom 1, and then I'm going to do 2:3 as the aspect ratio, which is essentially going to get it to like a mostly paper size. You can get it to like 4 or 5 as well, and we'll do well. But this should be good for now. And then I'm just going to write comic panels. But I want to delete this image reference here. So it just says comic panels and then V6, and with the source reference on there. We'll see if the source reference screws things up or not in terms of the composition of our results. It shouldn't, but we'll see. We'll see. We might need to change the value of the source weight on there too. So let's take a look at some previous stuff that you guys have done. We have Blonde Woman Meets Wizard in a Cafe, Wizard and Her comic from Senor Carlos. And your only image source reference here is one picture of Sage. Okay. You'll notice here that, yes, it is. It's certainly going to give you Sage by using that as the source reference. But notice that it's just Sage in a white void, right? You're going to have to inpaint all that background back or replace it traditionally. But if you really, really just want your character on a white background, you can definitely use it as a source reference and just go for that. If you just want to make, poses or anything like that, go nuts. But for the sake of compositing, like, I love this third result, but it's going to take a while to kind of bring everything back in terms of the scene that's here. So let's see here. I just want to show the comic panels, and I'll get to your question here. All right. So you could see here that this is the power of just kind of zooming out when it comes to the comic panel prompts, is that we're kind of able to get new context for things. We can see that this portal is actually kind of at waist height in this depiction of it, while over here it comes down to the knees, right? So we're like, we kind of have to build this up. Also, Sage's outfit completely, it has no context has no idea, especially based off the other images, the other results we have here, what we really want to do here. So what I can do is take a look at what the prompt said. It just said comic panels, right? So let's actually give it direction, because this isn't art. Honestly, this is not art. This is art once we have given it intent and direction. I know that that's a personal definition, but it is important for me to kind of emphasize here that, like, if we say comic panels now depicting something, suddenly our intent might get reflected. Maybe. So like, let's do comic panels of two coworkers find a portal. And now we get a little closer to what I would consider intent. Neat. All right, let's see this question here from Irritan. How do you plan your comic? From the script to defining the panels you want and then committing to a result so you're not infinitely looking for specific results? I am struggling with that, as some of my panels I already generated dozens, maybe hundreds of interactions. I'll say it like this. I oftentimes go in with an idea, right? But I am very open-minded to things like the layout or the composition of that idea. I really just want to accomplish a specific goal. like for the Beanie Baby comic, my only goal with that comic was that she was going to pull out the Beanie Baby, right? And so like I started with that as my like core objective. Like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do is she has to reveal a Beanie Baby from her hand. And then everything else was just me expanding out and getting the rest of the context for the comic. Still took me 3 to 4 days worth of prompting to explore every potential like thing that I wanted to do with that comic. But I just ended up using only so much of it, right? So when it comes to answering your question, though, it oftentimes my punchline is the prompt that I'm telling, because I'm like, I really want this to be the goal. So like, here's I tend to have my reactions be, or my instinct be, to do everything reverse, right? With AI. So I'm starting with the punchline and I'm expanding out to give context to the scene. That I hope that helps. Really cool stuff I'm seeing from Fractal Bob here. I love this art style. It's so interesting looking. It's all from the names that you're using. But yeah, it is neat. I personally don't use names. I don't use proper names in my prompts because like there's no shame in doing it. I totally get it. If you are just really looking for a specific look or an image, I totally get it. But for me personally, because I'm trying to kind of break out as, you know, an artist with at least with some sort of defining characteristic about themselves, it's already hard enough for me to hold on to a consistent style, let alone for me to to be unique in that consistent style. So as soon as I start referring to other artists, or I start like saying, oh, I want everything looking like Studio Ghibli, then I am no longer an independent artist and I am doing a parody of them, you know? And so there's no shame in doing that at all, and using proper names. It's just for my purposes of trying to be like self-defining, I don't really want to use proper names in my prompts. So you can see here, Movie Machine comic about Victor Gnarly comic panels from Rhapsody. This is definitely showing just how much power the source reference really has on here. There's no indication of characters, you know, doing what they're doing here. It's just the source reference completely taking over. It's pretty cool. Yeah, this is exactly why I want to mix my own styles from Rhapsody. Yes, absolutely. It really makes a huge difference to use your own work versus other people's work, because, you know, it's very similar to like, at least in entertainment, you would make like a pitch deck where you have like 5 different ideas that you want to send to a studio, and you want to be like, all right, here, if you don't like this one, then maybe you'll like this one. Maybe you didn't want a romantic comedy, so here's a horror movie. Like they're called pitch decks. You have a bunch of ideas that you slap together. Usually, if you come into the room without a pitch deck, that usually means that you're kind of obsessive, right? Like you only have one idea, and that one idea has to happen. And usually they don't pick up shows like that, and they do that specifically because usually those kind of people are hard to work with. So you also want to allow creative input from the people who are giving you money. That's really what it comes down to. So like, more often than not, like take Adventure Time, for example. He walked into the room, had a guitar, and I believe a small sketchbook that he just laid out in front of him, and he played the intro song for Adventure Time on his guitar, and then he walked away. Okay, like he literally was like, "Here's the premise, goodbye," and just the idea of that is it allows so much more creative input by the people who are going to give you money. So sometimes it's better to just kind of be open-ended with your own ideas, and that applies to Midjourney too. Just kind of be an open book when it comes to creative input, and don't be stubborn. It's the easiest way to kill a project is be stubborn about it. So, you know, it's okay to have principles. Kind of frustrating to work with stubborn people, right? So that would be my advice when it comes to doing what I can guarantee you so few of you are going to do, which is pitch to network studios. But I've run into that. So yeah, it works in life as well. Yeah, I don't know how far my advice goes, honestly, Kinky. Sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, I feel like I'm kind of pigeonholed to like a somewhat dated Hollywood entertainment world. So maybe everything's different now. Who knows? But I love this like isekai forest world that we've put this blonde woman in. And, we'll be able to style transfer that back to Sage or to inject Sage back into there if we were not happy with her outfit or how she looks. For me, I wouldn't be able to post this comic because it doesn't look like Sage. Just, a lot of these are just kind of, generic blonde woman, which is fine. It's just, if you just want to tell the story and worry about it later, like the first one here is definitely Sage the Mage from Legal Beagle. It looks a lot like it. And I can, Senior Carlos is already going ham on these. So it's really cool to see. But let's kind of change things up here. I think we need to do that. But let's see what Kinky said. You drew this character named Sage, but the Sage was within you all along, Sensei. Yeah. I wanna be able to say that's true, but I definitely relied a lot on generative tech to be able to make the original Sage because I was just so frustrated with little aspects of continuity that I was like, you know what? If Midjourney is gonna have continuity, I'll just use Midjourney's continuity, and then I leaned more into that. So, I wanna break out a character here though. I think this is time to kind of take a little breather from the Sage and Michael comics. And I am going to bring in a new character that we designed on my Discord. Go ahead and... Ooh, look at that cycloptic eye. That's pretty cool. Inside of my Discord server, we have Lily by Bokan. He was here earlier today. But Bokan... he had originally had a different character in mind that was very similar to this, but we decided to go with, or at least I decided to go with this because I just really liked the kind of personality that this little mechanic character had here. And, Bokan's original version of it is here. Basically what's coming up with this is that he wanted kind of an asshole mechanic, and I saw a brother. I saw someone who was just being a jerk. So, I was like, okay, well, I'll make the sister he's being a jerk to. Okay. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to take this character sheet, which I built by expanding out of prompts, and we're going to turn that into a character prompt. So, first thing I'll do is I'll copy this sheet. If you're confused about how we make the sheets, pretty easy to make sheets, guys. You can literally just prompt for it now. When it comes to the in-painting, out-painting side, watch the any one of the last two streams, and we do it a ton. But if there's any character that you see on a white background, it's very, very easy to do. So let's see. We don't really have any examples here necessarily. They're all Niji 6. So we can I'll just pull up one of the prompts from my channel here because that's going to be the easiest way without having to wait for it to render. So let's grab just a second. Yeah. There we go. This one should work. I'm going to do a /show for Lily here. Inside of VC Create, you'll find VC Create right above the stage here. /show. And now we have Lily. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'll expand 2 times out. And we are going to try to in-paint the poses that we believe depicts this character's personality. I've already got the sheet done, so I'm just showing this for demo. But this was prompted by Bokan by writing he, Pumical, wearing carpenter clothes, 20 years old man, ponytail expression, white background. It doesn't really look like a man to me. I'll say that, but it's a non-binary gender character for Bokan here, and you could see that just by expanding out, we already have the poses and things that are kind of like defaultly generated from this, and this is all happening because we're doing Niji 5 on a white blank background with character prompts. So it's all just emphasizing that we just want multiple poses and all that stuff, and natively with this and within this prompt. Doesn't mean it's always going to happen that way. We could show you how to force it. And yes, I'm going to wave to this cat. Beep. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Very cool to see all the different angles right off the bat. We already have different expressions, moods, that kind of thing. We can up-res one of them. But if, say, you're unhappy with any of these, or you want to completely change these out, you can go to Vary Region here, delete everything before Niji, and write multiple expressions, multiple poses, and just select the ones you don't want. The thing is though, you want to get rid of any repetitive ones. And I'll be honest, none of these are really bad. They're all unique, which is what you want. But as long as they don't repeat, you're good. But we're just going to arbitrarily select 2 or 3 of these. Remember, though, because we have no images, it's just the words, multiple expressions, multiple poses. That means that we are going to end up with whatever is left behind from what we select here. So we want to make sure, like, if you do want to change the way her eyes look, like the style of her eyes, you will literally have to highlight every eye to guarantee that result. But for now, I'm just going to select these poses. This back of the head, though, is super, super good. We got to keep that one just for the sake of demo here. But I'm going to select these ones here. Go for that, and then I submit that in, and you're going to see that we get swapped out poses, and you can just keep doing this until you have a completed sheet. You know you have a completed sheet when you have a complete turnaround and just about every emotion you believe your character needs for your story. The action poses is how you dictate their mood or personality, like if they're a spazzy kind of person or if they're like a hyperactive or lazy person. That can all be depicted based on their poses, right? So writing action poses or lazy poses or whatever you want to do will better direct your character because that intent shows up in the final product. When it comes to Sage, for example, I am often going, okay, Sage is a kind of an OCD hyperactive person. Like she consistently makes mistakes because because of oversight. Like she's a kind of an overworker too. All that stuff has to be depicted with her posing and her body form, because that's where it's going to derive most of that from. Just in my experience. So you could see here that when we highlighted, changed it out, and it kept it consistent. There is a little bit of double ponytail going on, in which case we would just find the ones with doubles and then highlight and delete those. So let's go with the first one here. And just like before, we could just highlight what doesn't match. So like we have a little bit of a hair bump here. It's a little awkward. And then you notice this too, like she does have a little bit of a hair flip like on the front, but it's almost becoming a second ponytail, but she's missing her ponytail entirely over here. So let's just go ahead and highlight this whole area here. And let's just go for that. Let's just stick with that. And that's how I repair stuff in painting within Midjourney. We then take all of these images and slap them into a sheet so that we could save them for later. But for now, I've already done that. I've already done the work. We could add these poses to the sheet that I made. It's kind of a fun bucktooth sort of pose in the top right there. Sorry, on the right here. That's pretty cute. But I think overall though, what we're gonna do is take my original sheet. I'm gonna open up my full screen here. While that's loading up. I'm in Photoshop beta. You can do this inside of MS Paint. You can do this in literally within any image manipulator that you got. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Bokan's sheet here. And now I'm just going to highlight select each pose and then paste it into Discord. So come into here, marquee the first pose, like so, copy, and then paste that into Discord. And we will do that for every image that's here. So give me a moment here, and I will get I'll get all these in there. This will also give me a minute to sip a drink and to let Kinky chime in here if she wants to hang out and chat with you guys for a minute. So I'll be back speaking here in a couple minutes. But in the meantime, I'll be copying and pasting all the poses. So I'll be back.
Hi. How's everybody doing today? Are you enjoying the stream? Oh, Rhapsody, I'm sorry. I'm on the screen now. Yay. Whoa. Surreal. I'm a star. I'm famous. I'm David Letterman. It's what I was born to do. It's really silly that Bokan decided that now was the time out of all the times that he could leave the class early. He usually will talk right through it. So, Lion, I like your the stylization on your icon. It's very cool. Rhapsody, Legal wants to know what time it is over there. I'm the messenger. Legal Beagle, Rhapsody says it's 23:40. Hope that helped. Yes, in Germany. That's why Bokan left. Oh, true. No, he's always up. He's always up and he's always here at these things. He'll talk right through the whole thing if you give him a chance. Maybe he was shy about Lily. Did he know that this was going to happen? Did he know?
Yeah, I told him, yes.
Yeah, maybe he got shy. So we're working on some new prop battle things. And we're going to have that this weekend. Not the new things, but that's what I've been up to all week. What is prompt battle, you ask? Well, let me just tell you. It's this amazing game that we play here on Midjourney. And, I might just someday, Rhapsody, I might just take you up on that. Your voice is a lot more soothing than mine. It's a game that we play on Saturday and Sunday. And one person decides what we're going to make for 10 minutes, and then we make it. And then once the things are all made, after 10 minutes there's a timer that goes off, and we all put our images into the chat and vote on them. And once the winner emerges victorious, they choose the next image for us all to make, and it's a lot more fun than I just made it sound.
It's a blast, actually. It's a lot of fun. It's great to be able to see all the different styles and things that people like, different ways people accomplish the same goals, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I love that I'm on the stage. I think that's so cute. Victor made a kinky character.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you bouncing around eventually once I figure out once I pick Rhapsody's brain a little bit. There's a couple other VTubers that are also part of my movie machine now, so it's cool to see them all kind of coming together and making stuff together.
Amazing.
We'll all be bouncing around anime characters soon.
Best.
All right, just one more minute.
I bounce.
I'm just gonna get these expressions in.
Battle? Yeah, go ahead. I don't know if that's true. You're a really good prompter. So join the server. I'm on that server. The server that I put up in the chat every week. Victor server. I'm a member. Not only am I a member, but I'm also a client. Oh, okay. Here I am thinking that you were just talking to me, Legal Beagle. Sense of humor is a shining beacon of light, Rhapsody. Don't you forget it. I'm excited to see what Lily does once they're all cut out and cut big. Oh, Rhapsody. I haven't stickerized any of my orb pictures that I made. I'm going to have to do that.
You definitely should.
I definitely should. Red, I'm grateful that you're here to share this space with all us lovely people as well. Always happy to see your name in the chat. And what time are the new prompt battle things? Oh, what are the new prompt battle things? There's just going to be another event. Right. You know?
Yeah.
What was that?
Sorry. That was actually that was awful. So what happened there was I took off my headset and you just heard my mic rubbing into my beard. So
ooh, you have a beard now. I know.
Yeah, now you know. I'm not the clean-faced Victor that you guys know me as. But yes. I am more than excited to. I was like, oh no, no. I know exactly what that sound is. Oh no. So I will go.
Me.
No, it's
Rhapsody
not.
It sounded like you had an e-cig, yeah.
Nah, no. I'm such a fraud. I am such a fraud. Yeah. No, it's what is it? There's this awful, like, because I'm using a gamer mic, right? The slightest sounds without being able to say like, hey, I'm hey, let me put you over here, Kiki, for a sec.
Okay.
Let's just do this. That'll be fun.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm constantly having to deal with the fact that I'm using a crappy gamer mic, so I am going to get a new microphone soon. You guys can hear me in maybe higher definition, or maybe you just don't recognize me anymore because of the different compressions that are here. But yeah, I did.
Stage now.
Okay, I'll do this. Bye. Okay, so I'm just gonna have you sitting off screen here. It's all good. So at this point, what I did here is I'm going to take each one of these images that I linked, and I'm going to create a /prefer for them. But we're going to do this. We're going to do this a bit more robustly because I do recognize that some people don't really understand like that you can go farther with the /prefers than what is just I have a character, right? So right now I have them split into 3 different categories. I have full bodies. I have these kind of like cowboy shot expressions and poses, and then I have the close-up expressions. We're gonna make a /prefer for all three of these so that we can better control this character how we want it in every panel. So like if we are like, oh, we're injecting into a close-up shot of her, then I know that I can use the close-up, right? So what are you guys, what are all these image links here? I'm worried about clicking these. Then this is your week, Rhapsody. Okay, cool. I'm relatively confident that yes, that if it's from one of you guys, I don't have to be worried about clicking the link. But yes, it is something where I'm a little cautious about it. So let's go ahead. Oh, look at this. It says Victor on them. Nice. Nice. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to write /prefer, option set, and then I'm going to write Lily on here. But instead of just Lily, I'm going to say Lily. Let's just do, we could actually just leave the base for Lily as her full body, and then we will include all the close-ups and stuff as like an additional preset. So I'll click +more on here, and then hit value. Okay? That will let us paste all of our links into this value. So we'll start with the full bodies. I'm going to open each one of them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm just going to paste each one of those into the value here. We'll talk about the extermination codes here in a second, but I'm going to paste all of them into there, making sure that there is a space between each one and that each image is unique. Okay, I've got them all in there now. The thing is, before we hit enter onto here, you'll notice there's a bunch of excess code that's added to the end after .png. This is called an extermination code. The Discord is going to be wrangling in their file management. So to prevent them from doing that, at least for now, delete everything after .png on each image. This will prevent them from deleting your images later. Maybe they'll find new ways to delete them too. Who knows? But you'll notice sometimes you get this like smashed together, like where it says .png and then immediately the next link. It'll not understand what you want there, and it will break if you leave it like this. So you have to make sure there's a space between them. Boop. Beep. And boop. And just to make doubly sure that I don't have to repeat this process, I'm going to add an extra space between them. Just to make sure that there's see, I left a question mark there. Boop. And now we have all these as Lily here. And then I hit enter. What this will do is every time I write Lily now into a prompt, -- Lily, and then Niji6, AR23, just to get us a more vertical profile. Every time we write this in there, it's going to just replace that text with whatever we wrote inside the /prefer. Okay? So this means that we are going to get the average or median of all 7 of those images or whatever is in there. And we can do one that has all the images in it. We can do ones that only have specific poses. We can do ones that are like only specific expressions. Like there's one person who I'm not going to name, just because I don't think they would appreciate being blasted on a stage here. They have a /prefer for every expression. So like this is that character happy. This is that character angry, because they know their character like from a 360-degree kind of perspective, because they're a 3D artist, right? They did like slightly looking up sad, slightly looking down sad, slightly to the side sad. You know what I mean? Like it's ridiculous the level of control that /prefer has. But look at this. There she is, or there they are. We were able to recreate the little flips, the hair, everything is there. It's awesome, right? If we add any words to this, she's going to look slightly different, but we are, at least now we have it saved, and we can then inject this later if we have a full body shot that we want to inject her into. But we want to make every expression in here as well. So I'm going to make another /prefer for Lily. /prefer. Option set. And then +more. and then value. And inside the option here, I'm going to write Lily underscore. Now keep in mind, guys, if you put capital letters in there, you have to write the capital letter every time. I prefer just doing lowercase everything for this. But we're just going to say Lily face on this one. Okay. And then I'm going to open up all of the face images here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, let's save the ninth one for, because we have a little more cowboy here. I'm going to save that one for the next / prefer. Okay. So we have all these different expressions here. And they just kind of show different ranges of like frustration. Like she doesn't really look commanding because she's young. Like we want to be able to emphasize a certain mood or expression for the character. So if your character is like, if you're telling a slice of life story, I highly doubt that you're going to need, a badass villain or badass superhero protagonist look. You're gonna need something more like this, where it's just, frustrations in life kind of depicted, right? So we're going to take all these, just like before. We're going to copy all these expressions one at a time. Did I just pick that one? Let me just confirm that. I don't want duplicates, otherwise it gets really annoying. Let me confirm really quick. What was the last one? Okay, it was that one. Okay. Then we get this one. That one. And then we have one more. Bam. Okay. Okay. Now I'll get rid of all the execution codes. If you don't, it's easier just to highlight, select everything, just hit spacebar. It'll add that space between the links too. So just do that. Okay. Now I can hit enter, and that will save Lily's face. So if we inject her into a redhead, right, then I can just get her face back. It just needs to be a redhead wearing overalls, and now I can put her face or her head there, and it will work. So just like before, /image, or imagine, Lily underscore face, and then Niji6, and I don't need to worry about aspect ratio there because it's largely just square images. We're going to get good results off of that. And then I'll make the last one here, which is her kind of mechanic poses, like leaning over equipment, falling down, that kind of thing. That's what I was kind of going for with these ones here. So now I'll do a /prefer on that. We'll say Lily. I'm going to say that these are her, just to make it easy to write, I'm going to say Lily Cowboy, because it's basically a cowboy shot. So come into here, value, boom, and then I'll grab all these. And I just noticed on this one, she's actually has a big error here in her jacket, so we might need to ditch this image. It almost looks like she looks up at this one, right? She's kind of looking to the side like, I broke it. Okay. So we'll get rid of the execution codes. Okay, we have those here. I'm actually going to change it to Lily Work so that she's just kind of like, we have an idea for that. Okay, Lily Work, submit. Now, I'll do a /imagine on that. Lily Work, Niji6. And you can see with the close-ups that we got, it did exactly that. We didn't have to write that she was a redhead. We didn't have to write that she had a ponytail. We didn't have to write that she has overalls. But you notice the overalls switch colors. This is very common because it's just kind of deducing it off of the image prompts. So, we could actually say, hey, she's always wearing dark overalls. That like for Victor, I would just say black shirt, black hair, and it would always give me something that was usable for me, to inject into. But now that we have all three of these here, you could also make a master Lily sheet, which might be useful if you guys have to just kind of blend a bunch of things together and see what we get, or maybe you just want Midjourney to get really creative with it, right? So I'm going to do one more /prefer. We don't have to do all the work that we did before on this because it's pretty easy. Now that we know that all these image links they don't have execution codes in them, I can just copy. Let's first write Lily master value, and then I'm going to paste all of her confirmed working links into this one. And that way, Lily Master should lean a little bit towards the full bodies just because there's plenty of those images in here. But if I now write Lily Master underscore master and then Niji 6, we'll see how that looks to combine these all together. Because of SREF having really benefiting from image weights, I do hesitate to go too hard on prompt or weighting all of these. But similar to Gnome here, I'll just show you. I have one character saved here named Gnome. Gnome actually is already pre-weighted and has her style code shoved in there for Niji 5. So I will say that I if you guys have any questions about SREF or anything like that, I will be relying on Ancient and the other guys here to kind of tell me these things. But I've been told that /tune will not be coming to Niji 6, but instead SREF will be the equivalent of /tune. So it is something that, in terms of its approach, right? They're very similar. Like, you can use image links inside of your /tune, so the same kind of works for SREF as well, where it's just the images that you're using to reference. So when it comes to getting used to this stuff, I'm so curious to see how far we can get with SREF specifically, because with /tune, I was able to get myself into a storybook mode where I'm able to constantly have this gnome character, reliably showing up like this, right? To where I can write anything into the front of the prompt, and that gnome is now doing that thing, right? But she will slightly change, and you'll see what's going to happen here. So here is the Master Lily, where it combines all the stuff we just saw into one prompt. Look at what it did. It made her leaning over like she's talking to a little kid. You know what I mean? Isn't that cool? So if we wanted to, what is this? Let me just get this question from Getters here. I haven't used it as of yet. Loved watching the stream. Give me an idea of how to get the best from it so far. It is definitely true that when it comes to getting the best of it, I'm learning that too, man. I'm right there with y'all. It only came out 2 days ago, so I'm so excited for SREF. But /tune though will let us be able to do a lot of what I was hoping we would be able to do with SREF, but it was a lot more manual. Like, you had to go through and really, really make sure your tune was clean. But now with SREF, I could just select 2 or 3 images that I wanted to copy off of, and then use these image prompts to bring the character back in. So I see you guys are already going ham on a couple of things. Look at, she's standing in a forest, and you notice it's no longer a gnome, right? Because it's a word, because you added words to it, right? But there's an SREF for it. You've added the SREF here instead of using it as an image prompt, which is hilarious, because now it's okay, yes, it's only looking at the style of the gnome, and not the gnome herself at all. It's looking at the line weights and things. So, let's see what Rhapsody said here. I am really unsure if I like SREF more than Toon. Toon was more independent when it was set up. With SREF, I feel like I need to archive 1,000 image references, right? That's probably true. There's probably some like, like if especially if I'm switching comic compositions, I'm going to be switching my SRFs pretty common. Or frequently, I feel like to do that. But I have a feeling that there's a couple of new things coming that will help that. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's take a look at this though. So we have our Master Lily here. Let's try to put her inside of a Sage comic just to see what happens. Okay. I'm going to open up my notes here. Let's grab the Sagittarius comic. Why not? It's kind of cutesy. I'll add that as an SREF to the end of this one. I'm just gonna keep it at Niji. We won't worry about expanding yet. I just want to see. And we'll submit that. Probably want to lower the source. Probably want to lower the weight of that. But we'll see what we get off of it. Or if I got an error. But look at that. All right. So it is processing it. We'll see what it do. What it gonna do? And we have this character, though, just like we saw earlier, we could actually direct the character a little bit and then inject or replace with image prompts everything that's wrong about it. So let's just say working on an old plane, mechanic, let's say Redhead mechanic, working on an old plane. There is one Studio Ghibli movie that one of my friends is going to really appreciate me doing a shout out for because it's one of the most underappreciated Ghibli movies. And if you got an idea where I'm going with this, you'll know. But it is Porco Rosso is one of my favorites. It's kind of like the Red Baron story, right? But it's a curse story and it's super fun. I would highly recommend it. But if you, it's one of like Ghibli's like first like not first but like refined love of flight, right? Like he's done this with Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind, and like so many other things. It's just everyone wants to be a bird, and Ghibli especially wanted to be a bird. So yeah, it's he made a pig that wanted to be a bird when pigs fly. Like that's great. It's such a great movie. I highly recommend Porco Rosso. I want to have her be basically in Porco Rosso in terms of like the kind of like aesthetic and mood of it, right? Like just frustrated mechanic trying to work on a plane is what I'm kind of imagining here. So you could see that with the source ref though, when we applied that, almost nothing changed. Like we got a little bit of mood difference, but literally nothing changed. The image weights are so powerful in this. Let's try to do this now. As a wait, hold on a second. Where was my prompt about the mechanic though? I just want to confirm that really quick. Did I actually submit that? Where is it? There it is. Okay, it's coming through. So Redhead mechanic working on an old plane. All the image references are there. No source ref at all in this one. But you could see we're getting the context of the plane. We're getting the context of someone who's working or laboring over something. And these are still rendering, so it's blurry. But you notice just how much of the space is dominated by white here. That's because we're starting with an image prompt. Look at this. Isn't that cool? We have the plane. We have different aspects of her working on the thing, and it's her. Like it's definitely a girl in overalls and stuff. There is style deviations and there is character deviations. It happens because of the words that are inside of here. So if say we got really close and we're really happy with it, we could just start in-painting the corrections by deleting the words and then in-painting. Granted, this is all in EG6 though. So we're going to have to wait on that a little bit. But let's see here. The main thing I want to emphasize to you guys though is the power of using word-only prompts. Okay? So you notice that we got all her white background, all that stuff on this one. But because we're using the sref here, let's grab the word-only prompt from earlier. This one here. Redhead mechanic working on an old plane. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-roll this one where we only had the image prompts. And I'm going to delete all the image prompts. And just have the word only with a source reference on one of my comics. Wait, that's a lot of images for the source ref. Did somebody... Oh, someone ran the... I'm working on something that I shouldn't. All right, Legal Beagle. Let me go back to what I originally intended on doing here. So, let me come into here, copy. I'm copying my sref here. All right, let me now delete my intention here. This is shoot, what was that again? All right, Redhead mechanic working on plane. There, I'm telling you guys, if you use character prompts as your source reference, the only thing it's gonna do is give you a bunch. It's gonna give you the same image. Like, let's see here. You got the source ref. We have the text being written here. You have a word-only prompt, which is exactly what Redhead mechanic mopping the floor of the hospital. This is from Legal Beagle. Look at how much deviation there is. Yes, we have a Redhead with similar line weights and stuff, but it's amazing just how much of this is different than the character that we had before, right? So I'm wondering, look at that beard. Oh, wow. Let's see here. Boop. There we go. I'm curious what combination of these two we can do to really get us there. But I want to show you guys how much more completed of a scene we can get by not relying on the character prompts. Okay, because it's still all white in the background. We're going to have to replace a lot of stuff or do Photoshop work. Her clothing is completely different in a bunch of these shots, so on and so forth. But if we look up here, Redhead mechanic working on an old plane, right? We have completed scenes. We have environments and all this kind of stuff. But it's not her, right? Because we haven't used the image prompts at all. So I'm going to grab, say, the second one here. We're going to do a variation subtle. And then I'm going to inject Lily into this. So we'll do Lily Master. We could also just do Lily because it's a full body. Lily Master. And then I'm going to change the, because I really want to be able to mess with this image here. Let's change this to Niji 5 and get rid of the source ref entirely. We also have to get rid of this. There we go. Okay. Boop. And now what it's going to do is it's going to combine the word-only prompt of Redhead mechanic working on plane, all the image prompts, and try to do a balance in between all those here. The only reason I'm leaving the words in there is because there's more context than what's inside the image prompts here. If we wanted to have a little more control, because right now we're just kind of rolling with it, right? We could actually come into here and say, oh, yeah, I like these. They're all really cute. I love this fourth one here. I can now just switch this. Let's up-res that, actually. Variation subtle. I could also switch it just to V6 and then keep the sref if I wanted to. Either way, for now, it bypasses the issue that we don't have in-painting, out-painting in EG6 yet. So, the key goal that I want to get here is I need to get the character back in there. She's not wearing overalls. She's not wearing pants. All that stuff's missing. But you could also combine these approaches, like we did earlier, to effectively do the best of both worlds. So let's re-roll this one. Add Lily to the front. And then, because we saw the results were dominating with white in the space, let's put a lower image weight, like 0.04. I do have a question for Ancient, which is the image weights don't apply to the sref, right? Like you could put weights inside of the sref, but if you use the image weight parameter, it only applies to the image prompts, right?
So IW applies only to the image prompts. SW applies only to the style reference. And if you do the colon weighting of them, then that applies them relative to each other before the dash dash.
Okay. Okay. So you can use both.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. I'm curious how that plays out with some of y'all. But you can notice here we're now in Niji 5. We have preserved the composition, right? And granted, there's a bit of an awkward girl that's like inside of here, but because we preserved the composition of it, we can just inject the character back in. And same with any of these. Like you notice that we have now Niji 6 with an image weight of 0.4. This is Niji 6, but it lets us be able to say, hey, I want a little more creativity from Midjourney in here by lowering the image weight. But we need to inpaint these characters to be back in there because it doesn't look like her at all, really. So we're gonna do, let's just say this one, and then I'll do vary region. Come in and delete. What do you say here? Image weight does okay. Yes, awesome. Yeah, you're literally writing it in there. That's great. Awesome. So I delete all the text from it. So we rely entirely on our characters, like our Lily character here. And I am going to just preserve only the stuff I like about it, like the stuff that matches the character, okay? So, she's got a little bit of awkward arms and other things going on here. But we could try to be rather aggressive about it and see if it is enough. Most likely it will not, but we need to have like a solid reference open for her. So let me grab one of those. Let's do this one. I'm going to put this inside of VC text for now. There we go. We could see that we need to correct the hair. Something like this. Maybe a little more. The eyebrows are dark, so let's also select the eyebrows. She has a kind of like braid, right? So I want to make sure we select into there. And yeah, let's go with that for now and see what we get without writing any words in there, just to see if we're able to repair her sitting there or standing there on her knees. And if we were working on a close-up of her, we would use a different prefer for that. Yeah. Let's see how that goes. Rhapsody said, so the calculation is image, colon, image, and then multiplied by the image weight, colon, text prompt, question mark? All right. Yeah, and I
roughly
go ahead, sorry.
Don't worry about it too much. You'll get a feel for it when you start messing with the numbers.
Right. I will say that there's a reason I avoid image weights in my tutorial. It's if people go down rabbit holes that I don't think are necessarily intentional. When they're like, why am I getting so frustrated? And it's like, you've had the image weight set on your character so high there's no background anymore. You know what I mean? Like the whole time. So let's see if we got any with the overalls here. I will say that this is a bit of a crapshoot, but you can notice that we already got like a completely different anatomy of her and how she's sitting, how she's interacting with this space here. And just to kind of bring back a reference here. We probably need to describe that she's wearing overalls at this point. But we can try it with a higher image weight as well. So let's do vary region. And then set the image weight up. Let's do 2. Because we need you 5, so I think the max is 2. All right, let's let that render. love how you guys discovered that I haven't shaved in a week and a half because of a damn me, me rubbing my mic on my face. All right, and it resulted in you guys just prompting Victor with beards. That's what I love about this community. Honestly, is just you guys are all shit posters, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's too damn funny to me. Every time I make a note, like she has to write it down. It's too funny. Um, all right, let's take a look at what we got with the higher image weight here. Okay, you can notice that we still don't have overalls. We do have something that's kind of closer to like kind of a mechanic-y outfit though. Like it's a little bit more inspired by it, but it's not the outfit. It's not her in the pose and all that stuff. So there is a lot of image references in here. We can probably hone it down, but let's already start describing what she's wearing, and that will probably get us a lot closer. So she is wearing dark blue overalls and I would say let's just say that's that's kind of an in between color for me. Like let's in sage top, sure, and sage undershirt, sage color. Yeah. Let's see what you guys said. All right, cool. Let's submit that and see what we get. So this is the text is at the front of it. All the image prompts are here, and we'll go ahead and just delete the image weight for now to see what our default results are. All right, so Redhead mechanic working on an old plane with an SRIF of... Oh no, don't open random things. Okay. We can now also just strong injection into this. Lily, master. And you'll most likely get her to show up like that. It's pretty cool. When you have these IRL kind of looking, like this is like highly rendered, very beautiful, right? We can then inject her into this, Lily Master. And it's going to randomize in between all the poses to do that. So I want to compare for you guys what happens when we do Lily Master versus just Lily, where it's much closer matching the composition of what we're injecting into. Let's see what we get. Oh, look at that. Aha! We got our overalls. All right, there you go. So it didn't match the right top color necessarily, but we do have overalls on her, which is a pretty big jump from what we had earlier. And you can notice that with the variation strong, it kind of does a median in between the two here for the bending over on the mechanic one. But because it's bending over, like look at the way that her hair is spread out here. That's largely because I have all these action poses mixed in there, right? So if I now go back up to here and say, oops, I'll just go back down. Hold on. There's a neat trick, by the way. If you click on the top of a link, or the top of a prompt, you just zoom up to it. So like you click up here, boop, it'll bring you to the previous prompt it's based off of. Very, very useful. I'll get into those in a minute. But we need to talk about this, though, because variation's strong, and then I put, instead of just the base model Lily, let's do Lily work, because, again, the poses, it's all about injecting into similar silhouettes of shapes and colors and all that sort of stuff. The idea of a silhouette is very expanded in the world of AI. So with the same thing, these are all the Lily poses. So you're going to see that she's kind of looking around and she has her hands kind of low and just in different. It's again, she's again looking down and talking to a kid is the final effect we got by combining all the images. That's kind of the first image here, but it gets a median between the two, between the highly over rendered one we had before and this. But if we use just the full bodies, it respected the full bodies. Okay, that's awesome. That is just great for being able to just quickly get the picture you're expecting out of this. So now let's look at what happens when we use Lily work. Her hair is no longer flying in the air, but it's downward like she's working because that's in all the reference images. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy what you can do once you have a slash prefer that makes sense for your character. Okay? So give your character an occupation, give your character flaws, a mood swing, or whatever you want to do. So it's definitely true that you can do some pretty crazy stuff just by, controlling the images that you're injecting. So Jake says, "Hey guys, can someone help me? I'm new on the whole topic." Okay. I am happy to go through this with you, man. Happy to do it. And the Kinky has linked the full tutorial. So if you want to take your time and do this at your own pace, I have the tutorial link there. Just keep in mind, it does not include anything about SREP. It doesn't include anything about even Niji 6 or anything like that, or version 6. But it will go through all the basics about how we're able to save characters in Midjourney. The eventual end goal of all this is that we are going to isekai ourselves into a singular world that all of us will be able to interact in and basically tell a story together. I have a pretty good idea of how we're going to do that, but it is involving every one of you becoming storytellers, and making sure that you guys aren't all super powerful demigods is kind of the hardest part about this. Every one of you guys wants to blow up the world, so like it'll be fun to wrangle that in, and have it be this like interesting, fun story for other people to follow, but also be this interesting, cathartic sort of experience for everybody. Interactive storytelling. I'm so excited for this. If you are familiar with the isekai tropes, the Truck-kun thing is definitely going to be a major way that we'll do it. So it'll be fun. So if we notice here, Sicilian, they did with a stylized 750, an image weight of 0.66 with Niji 6, using only the work prompts and adding Redhead mechanic working on an old plane. I love her tying up her hair. That is too damn cute. But again, like we're in Niji 6, so we can't edit this sadly, but we can downstep though. So let's do a variation subtle. I'm going to set it to Niji 5 this time instead of V6, so we stay within the anime dataset. But because we are using Niji 5, I cannot use an SRF, so I have to come in and find the start of that. There we go. Delete it, and then submit. Wait, before I submit. Yes, then submit. The main negative of using her character art as the SRF, guys, is just look what it does with the background, right? And for the sake of Niji 6, we just don't get finished images. We get a bunch of backgrounds here by doing that. If we were in Niji 5, however, I could in-paint a new background into her. So that method does work if you're willing to downstep to Niji 5 and lose some of it. If I can't blow up the world, I'm going home. Then I'm just imagining I'm just imagining Kinky just I'm gonna go home. Later, guys. Can't blow up the world. So there you go.
Ran off the screen.
Yes, you did. I'm having too much fun with the whole PNG tuber stuff. It'll be fun to dig into that stuff more as we go too. As I keep refining this stage better and better every time. So let's see. Wearing overalls and flying a jet plane that is crashing into your mom's house. Wow. Look at that. VR. Oh, wow. That's just chaos. All right. So here is the Niji 5, and this is why I say to you guys, it's not really a big deal that we have to downstep to Niji 5. Okay? let's do the first one. She has a red, like dual coat, like dual color thing going on here. Let's do a vary region and get rid of that dual color. Highlight select. And then after this, I'll do what I'll satisfy Jake here and kind of do a little quick run through of things. But I'm just going to select everything that doesn't match the character anymore, which is the red undershirt thing. And then lastly, we will bring the background into it. You'll see why here in a sec. So we'll get rid of all the text because we just want to inpaint with our image links and then submit. I really don't use the style commands enough. Frankly, it's just I know that it's just gonna add yet another thing for me to think about. So leaving those a default tend to be what I do. But it is true though that the lower your style weight is, the less Midjourney kind of has creative input on the complexity of things, like the line weights and all that stuff, or just the amount of clutter that's inside the image. Fungi Mancer said, couldn't be here tonight, but hi everyone. Hope you had fun creating stuff. Oh yeah, it's good to see you, Fungi Mancer. You're the Bay Ray interview is split into two videos. One of them is a big Q&A workshop, and the other one is a supercut where we talk a lot about the controversies of AI and everything else. And the only question that gets answered in the base supercut, the one where we're all talking about AI and whatnot, is Fungi Mancer's question about whether or not it's still worth it to learn to draw. And I love that you asked that question, man, because frankly, like it is something where there's this massive assumption by people that we are trying to bypass learning, when what we're doing is we're trying to complement artists. We're trying to complement and amplify their work in a way. The problem is, and we go into this plenty with the video, the problem is the fact that social media and the prolific nature of AI means that it's extremely tough to make money in a world where things are free. when what used to be something that was super valuable, a custom made commission, is now effectively valueless, is a shocking and an abrupt change for people. And it's okay to say, like, not only am I scared of this, but this is wrong. And we need to figure out ways to fix this that is good for everybody, including us that are making things with this stuff. So, like, I support fully kind of bringing everyone to the table and kind of not just hashing it out, but also, like, being like, look, this is the reality. This is a math equation thing. Like, we can't stop math. We can stop corporate abuse, but theoretically, but we can't stop math. So, we go into that quite heavily with the video. And you could see we actually preserved a ton of the red, which is kind of surprising to me. It looks like it's a shadow or shade here. Let's see what happened here. Is this just a reroll of it? No. Is it an in-paint? Oh, it's a subtle variation. Interesting. Okay, now we want this one here. Look at that. All right, so it got rid of the overalls. It changed a lot of the aspects of the clothes that I liked from it before. So we're going to go back. We'll do a very region. And this time I am going to include Lily full here. Lily master. I'm going to get rid of the style code entirely. Get rid of the image weights entirely. That's probably what's screwing me up, is the fact there's an image weight in there. And we are going to just submit that first. Do it again. And then also with a image weight of 2, trying to really reinforce that I don't want it to be creative. I want it to, like, try to slap everything that I have in here and keep it working. And notice that as you guys are doing variation strongs with the images that we've cleaned up and we've made look nice, like, yes, this is her with the overalls, and whatever, we are able to basically get the same scene from different camera angles or whatever. You can easily re-roll this and say, I want this now as a long shot in a warehouse. And because the image prompts are still in there, they're inside of the what is it? They're baking the image here. We don't have to really worry about it moving forward when it comes to like the SRFs or anything like that. It's all there. Working and listening. Hey, Nibber. Nibber. I don't know. I still don't know how to pronounce your name. Half you guys, I don't know how to pronounce your names. But yes, a variation strong is very useful for being able to like just say, I want a different angle of this. I want to be able to, kind of see more of the space or more of the environment or whatever you end up doing. But you notice that it preserves all the white space because it kind of keeps the proportions of the image the same. Like think about it as percentages. About 50%, maybe 35% of the image here is white. Notice that that's basically preserved in all of these, regardless of how many strongs you do. But, oh my god, yes, we got it. Okay, cool. So, by setting the image weight to the max amount, this is defaults, but we got rid of that low image weight, then boom, we were able to say, hey, don't be creative. Stop it. Stop being creative. And just do what I tell you to do. That's what higher image weights are effectively doing. It's forcing it to look at the images and go, okay, I need to replicate those images. So let's go with 3. Dara Lama said, the power of variation to give you a solid base for strong variations is one of my favorite aspects of it. You fix something with variation and then fix it in a large amount of the variance. Right, exactly. Now, because we are in Niji 5, just wait until we start to get to the expansion part of this, because that's where everything gets, like, bonkers, okay? So, first thing we need to do is we need to get rid of all this white space that was caused by using image prompts as the SREF. So, yeah, by the way, this was an earlier attempt at doing a higher image weight, like image weight of 2, I believe, yes. And it works just fine. If anything, it's a bit excessive. So, we're fine with this one. Let's go ahead and do vari-region, but this time we're only going to use words, and we're only going to describe this as the warehouse or mechanic place that she's working in, okay? So let's do warehouse. Let's do dusty old warehouse. And if we wanted to evoke a specific style, we could, but we don't have to because it's already in the image. It's all the line weight and whatnot is represented here. So if I wrote like Studio Ghibli and tried to make a Porco Rosso, you would have this kind of clash that would happen. Potentially, or it finds a median between the two. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of select a loose, the closer you get, the better. It helps to have a drawing tablet for this because you can really outline the lines correctly. I cannot wait until we get like a select all the white space button. That would be great. But if we just make sure that we preserve the character the best we can, we can in-paint backgrounds. So let's go ahead and do that. Boop. Submit that in. So what do you all think about this so far? In terms of like, the character continuities and also SRF stuff that we started with. I'm so curious to hear from you guys.
I think it's great. Like, I love how far this has come. And I think that, like, you're doing a great job figuring out the nuances of how to make comic characters work in Midjourney.
I feel busy. I do. I definitely feel busy. like it's amazing how
Staying busy.
I've been staying busy and barely sleeping, honestly. Like, and not in an unhealthy way necessarily, but it is definitely like I am so addicted to using SRF now to be like, oh my god, okay, I can make my comics but only words now, and then going from there. But I want to show you guys just how ridiculous this is for being able to just downstep to Niji 5, so we get all of our tools back, and we now have a complete environment that this character is in. So let's say I like the fourth one a lot. I'm gonna just say let's expand it. Now the thing is that we've given it no context. Like, say we have a story in mind, we're trying to I don't want to say let's remake Porco Rosso, but let's give a description of what we want this scene to be. So we're gonna do a custom zoom. Let's set it to look like an anime, right? So let's do 16:9 or 21:9 or whatever film aspect ratio you want to pick. And I'm gonna do tying, because we already know it's just Redhead. It's inside the image, so we can just do tying her hair up before working on the old plane engine, abandoned warehouse, or dusty old warehouse. Because we're in Niji 5, complete sentences don't really matter as much, in my opinion. Niji 6, it matters a lot more. It just understands your context way more. So let's go ahead and do that. If we had an SREF for this, we could if it worked with Niji 5. Actually, I shouldn't bring that up. That it would be really great once Niji 6 is out and we can use SREFs for expanding out. It's going to be awesome. So you can see here that with just warehouse, just expanding out on warehouse, we got what we asked for. We got this kind of open space, and she is not doing what we intended to do, which is her to tie her hair up. The custom zoom, though, lets us add that direction in there, and not have to in-paint it back in later. Let's see what we get off of this. Rhapsody said, character continuity is great, but Niji and MJ6 and SREF is breaking my whole workflow right now. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where, I'm very curious as to where the utility is going to be for V5 and where the utility for V6 is going to be. Like, where do they differ? I think that the /tune is very, very easy to get people to just limit their results to reliable things, while the SREF is like, I have a very specific context in mind. So maybe it's best for, like, I do see SREF being more of a working professional tool rather than how /tune is, which is I am reviewing a bunch of examples of of different prompts and picking based on my eye alone which ones I think match my intention. So I would say like Niji 5 /tune would be like almost like moving on towards like more of a beginner thing. And then the SREFs will be one of those, like, it's extremely powerful, but very frustrating if you haven't had the time to learn and experiment with AI imagery. So let's take a look at the mechanic one here. So you could see that we didn't get really much of the context of bending over or working on a machine, but we definitely got her tying up her hair with her arm position on the third one here. There's still a little bit of a floating third arm there from the previous prompt. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to expand on these. Let's do actually the second one, because we have this nice big engine that's here. Sicilian said the possibilities are endless. And yes, this complements drawing, especially helping those who don't have the time to spend hours on compositions. Right. Compositionally stunning, right? That's from Rez. John H2O says, so to do a consistent character, just do a prefer option with a dozen images of it? Yes, but it needs to be a clean white background. Understand that I've seen this, especially with folks who don't really have a lot of experience working with graphic arts. If your styles or your the roles of your image are different on every image, it's going to be a median between all those, which means you have no continuity between those medians of all the things. So if you include one image that looks like a 3D render, and then you include another image that looks like it's hand-drawn 2D art, it's going to be this weird hybrid of the two every time, and you don't really know where that hybridization is going to land. But if you have all the images matching the style or the technique that's used, then it's far more consistent. That's essentially image prompting in a nutshell when it comes to trying to get continuity out of it. It'll always do a blend. It'll always mix all of them together. So ideally, you're isolating your blends to specifically what's useful for you. So for this one, it's lily work, right? So let's try to get her to tie her hair up properly here. So instead of using the image prompts at all. I'm actually going to rely on the image interrogation to understand what I want here. So she's kind of carrying what looks like a little propeller biplane thing here. We don't want that. We just want her working or tying her hair up. So I'm going to grab the arm. We'll get rid of that. And then I'm going to highlight, select around about here, and then describe what I want her to do. Tying her hair up. And that's it. You'll notice that I didn't write anything about what she's doing in the background for the warehouse or anything like that. And that's because I'm relying on the fact that it's going to go, okay, look, there's dozens of pictures, not dozens, hundreds of dozens, thousands of dozens or whatever. there's just a lot of pictures of the deduction of what is a woman tying her hair up, right? Or a man tying her hair up. It doesn't matter the gender. But it almost always, both arms are up in the air, right? So that means that if I select an area of context that includes completely irrelevant parts of that information, I'm most likely still going to get what I want because the posing is like, okay, lady up and arm in the air, da 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 da. So much yes, right? So let's see here. We got a couple other statements here. Niebuhr says, I was wondering that. Good thing I have not developed mine yet in character continuity stuff. Okay. Rhapsody says, I think that we have not found the golden road about using SREF correctly yet. I have a few ideas to create reference images for SREF. Right. SREF seems to be challenging to master, but probably very rewarding. Oh yeah. Yeah, no. There are a couple Sage results that I'm just like, I would have killed to get this level of continuity. Of my expectations, right? All right, and then say, yes, I will be updating the tutorial, Niebuhr. I will be. Understand, like, I've been so freaking busy. It's been tough, but yes, I will get to there. Dari Lama said, I'm glad I got into AI image generation relatively early. It's only getting more and more complex as time goes on. So not having to start from scratch in terms of knowledge with the current version is nice. Yeah, the longer you wait, I will admit, the longer you wait, the more likely the tools are going to be like robust and refined. But I will say this is that we are right now defining those roles. I feel like an egotistical jackass saying this, but we're kind of pioneering a new way of doing things. And to do that, that takes like collaborating. It takes, like bringing people together. And that's what these streams do. It puts everyone in the same room together. And sometimes my stuff, my comics and stuff, put a couple people in there unwillingly. Like it's like one of those things where it's like, look, there's a big group collab that a whole community is doing. I want to contribute my comics, my art to that too, but it's AI generated, so they get angry that I do it. But people like it. They still like it, and it's not about the quality of the image; it's about the nature of how it's made. And I do that on purpose. It's like I want to be able to make communication be on the forefront of what we're doing here, so that we're actually making changes, we're actually improving things. So, yeah, I'm excited about where this goes. Let's see. Vic, you can say my name backwards if it's easier for you. That makes it harder. Why would that make it easier? What? Is it Reuben? Okay. It's like a Reuben sandwich? Like, because I'm just going to call you Sandwich. Like,
Reuben.
Oh, man. Oh, you made my dyslexia go freaking haywire there for a second, by the way. I was just like, wait, what? Okay, all right. Let's get back to the class here really quick. Tying your hair up. We got a lot closer on that fourth one and on the second one. Same diff. All right. Jeez. Okay. Let's go ahead and inpaint this one again. We're gonna select the double arm that showed up here. And we want to kind of emphasize, like, normally when you're tying your hair up, you see a little bit of the other arm too. So I'm going to kind of come into here and see if I can select some of the top of the head here too. And I will say that she doesn't really have this big of a fall in her hair normally. There's a little bit there, but not much. So I'm actually going to select this And then with the text, I'm actually going to include Lily, master. And we're going to see if that helps. Oftentimes, if you include image prompts with words, it adds so much diversity that you usually don't get what you want, but it can get you out of a bind if you need to. So, okay. Let's take a look at this here. We're almost there. Yeah, don't do that, Rhapsody. That's gonna make my head spin even more. It's like, okay, let me ask you this. Why do they call it a W when it's two V's? Like, understand, this broke my dyslexic brain when I was a kid. I was like, why do they call it a W when it's clearly two V's?
Or an upside down M.
Or an upside down M, which makes it even worse. In Spanish, it's a double V.
Isn't it?
I like to say this though, like vitch. You vitch. You vitch. Yeah, I did do a whole comic that I'm gonna re-upload at some other point. It's my bag of beans comic that I wanna get up at a different time. The key thing with that one is I wanted to have this like Russian devil lady, right? It was kind of evoking like the Rocky and Bullwinkle villains, right? Natasha and what I forgot, Boris, right? I forgot. It's those two characters are so funny to me. I was like, okay, I wanna have this character, and she only speaks like that. She only speaks like, oh, with the vici, like, like it's to me it's hilarious. But I found out the hard way that people don't like reading text that's like that constantly. Okay, let's take a look at this. Oh, we got the other arm. Cool. It kind of looks like it should be in the right place, but it did fix the hair, so that's good. Oh yeah, there you go. It's all leet speak down. Rhapsody. All right, let's stick with this for now because at least it gets us to where my intent originally was. I definitely want to write something like put it like maybe there's a bow or a tie that she has in her hand. That would probably sell this image at the end here. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna in-paint some context for her to be looking at something, and then we'll do the really fun part next. Okay, this part's gonna get exciting. So I'm gonna say, just selecting this whole thing here, like that. Deleting all the text, and I'm going to say that this is an old engine, an old dusty engine, and just use dusty a lot. Just use dusty if you want to make someone look like they're miserable in where they work. So let's do old dusty engine. I wanted to thank everyone for joining here today. I know that sometimes the Friday streams can be a little tough because people got lives, they got things to do, and all that kind of stuff. I just really appreciate all you guys being here, chatting with me, especially if you don't mind, feel free to say hey. I would love to be able to hear from you guys. It is something that it's really hard for me to respond to PMs particularly, so please don't. Please, if you're gonna send me something, like go to my Discord instead, because that is the best way to communicate with me. There's too often, PMs I don't really want to deal with, honestly. Like it's just you get put in a position here, and that's just the thing I want to avoid is dealing with a bunch of PMs. So just please go to my Discord, and if you want to chat and hang out, we have a text channel there. We got various different image generations and projects going on. It's really cool. I'm really happy with how this is going. And Rhapsody and Kinky and Ancient, they're all there too. It's a good time. So thank you guys. Oh, Waxon, it's good to see you, buddy. It is something that I'm so thankful for you guys. For being here. Oh, thank you, Kiki. I appreciate that. You can connect accidentally on voice, and I might respond. Yeah, that's right. I might. So we didn't really get much of an engine here, but we did get something on the bottom right there. So I'm going to build off of that random something here. And let's try to dictate this as a plane engine now. As soon as I do the comic expansion here, though, you guys are I'm gonna let you all go nuts with it, and then we'll see how the rest of the stream goes here. So let's see, just the old plane engine. But I want to make sure I preserve what I had saved here. So I'm gonna go like this, maybe grab some of that, grab this, and then come in like that. And I oftentimes am looking for weird background things at this stage, right? Or complex, old, dusty, complex plane engine. I could do that. Complex plane engine. But I'm also looking for odd background elements.
Your mind.
Hey! I'm gonna let Midjourney make up my mind for me. I don't need to do crap. We'll see what it does. Let's do old, dusty, complex plane engine. Why not both? Why not both? I also host the show after the show, directly after Victor is closing out the stream here on Victor's server. Come by and talk together. Yeah. Actually, this is a cool time to shout that out too. So, Kinky is is the Movie Machine mod as well. So she's definitely a huge help. You guys should really be thanking her, honestly, at this point, because she did the whole Bay Rate like creature feature for him, and that was awesome. Super cool.
You mean Rhapsody?
Oh shoot! Oh my god! I'm so sorry. I am blanking on that. Rhapsody. Yes. Wow. I'm going to chop that up to my brain being dumb. Sorry about that. Rhapsody is the mod for sure. And she did this great after show you call it an after show. We only did it once, but it's really fun. I really do dig that. Sorry about that, Rhapsody. Maybe I am getting a little burnt out here, but it is certainly true. Look at this. We got the engine. We got this cool looking engine thing.
Sorry, I'm just on his mind. I can't help it, Rhapsody.
You did it 3 times already. Oh wow. I am bad. I'm bad today. Sorry about that.
I'm like an alluring siren no one can forget.
I'm gonna go with this first one here, and I'm gonna show you this. I feel bad now. I'm sorry, Rhapsody. Parappa the Rhapsody. I'm gonna go with that. Let's do a Parappa the Rapper joke. I want to inject some of Rio's art in Parappa the Rapper on that. That would be fun. I would love to see that style done. But okay, yeah, right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'll make it up to you by doing that. But let's go ahead and show the real power of predictive paneling here, okay? Because we have this cool shot, we have this cool scene that I like, but I want to do a custom zoom now. Let's do a 2:5 just to really force a really really tall aspect ratio. I'm going to replace all this with comic panels for now, and then we'll add context later. And set the zoom to 1. Again, the zoom being 1 means that we're not going to get additional imagery. No additional randomness to this particular panel is going to be added because of this. So I'm going to submit that. This is going to make me look it up now, though. So hold on. Okay, Parappa the Rapper. Let's take... Yeah, I'm going to say this one. And I believe it's an older version of Rio that I have here, but I'm going to do this. All right, guys, you guys want to watch some anime? Because we're gonna watch our own version of Porco Rosso kind of stuff here. Yeah. This is gonna be nuts, guys. Because as soon as you have your shot cleaned up, right? It has your character in it. It has the scene in it. Everything makes sense. There is a logical like construction of it all. Then you can basically say, hey, I want to see what you think happened before and after this moment. And that's what this is right here. We have different possible perspectives of her looking down, being considerate. Now, keep in mind, we haven't given it any direction yet, right? It's just randomness. It's randomness of prediction of what it thinks are coming up next. But if we come over and hit now reroll, because remember, this is a zoom. This is a custom zoom. We can just hit reroll here. We can now add the context of what we want to see Lily doing here, right? So let's say pulling out a wrench. Simple instruction helps a lot here because remember, it's kind of best to think of it as the next cut, the next frame of whatever you're envisioning, right? That means that if you give it a ton of context, it's just going to be really muddly. But it is certainly true that I've made a couple of comics doing this now where I say, hey, I love this shot. I can totally imagine the rest of this comic. So why not let Midjourney fulfill as much of that vision as possible, and we can then see which ones are better than what we had imagined in our head. And that I would have never been able to say this before AI imagery, that an artificial thing could have more creativity or more at least more insight than me. If anything, I would say every other artist has more insight than me when it comes to like just being being knowledgeable. Like I have no idea how to master watercolors, but I'm pretty decent at acrylics, right? So like seeing this whole level of like, okay, this thing can do everything and it's an egoless assistant, like that's awesome. But let's take a look at what pulling out a wrench added to the context here. Wow. Okay. Immediately we have her turned over to the side to where I could in-paint a bag right here, and then she would be pulling out the wrench. We have vehicles. We have her underneath the vehicle here. We have her kind of reaching underneath inside the engine bay here. And so on and so forth. So, question from John H2O: why not SREF with the prefer option images you use for Lily? Oh, because it's Niji. Yes, it is. We are using Niji 5, yes. But the thing is that the other reason is because the SREFs are going to refer to it. If we were to expand with Niji out with the SREFs, if you're using character prompts as your SREF, it's going to make white backgrounds on everything. We're not going to preserve the background nearly as well as we would if we did it this way, where we're basically saying, I've given you the perfect panel. Now make the rest of it match that perfect panel. So let's just say we're really happy with this bottom left one here, because you don't actually really need to be perfectly happy with it. You can do some pretty crazy stuff from here. So let's get to the third. I'm going to say, now giving her the context of this, let's highlight select where we think a bag would be. There's a little bit of foreground element I want to get rid of too, so I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to say, Lily, work, pulling out wrench from mechanic bag. And we're going to see if that gets us the shot that that at least I'm envisioning here. Because I'm imagining that there is like the engine bay that she's right here. She has to lean down to get to it, that kind of thing. And she's just pulling out the bag before stepping up back to the engine. Now, there is the option of switching at this point. Like we're happy with everything, sure. Like there's a little bit of this biplane issue where I would probably want to clean up a little bit up here. But if I wanted to, I could also jump to what is it? Version 6. So we go from Niji 5 to version 6 in order to retain that sref, right? If we wanted to use that. Again, I don't think it's going to be that useful because we're going to end up in a place where we are, where it's going to just remove backgrounds, basically. Because the srefs all for your character prompts are all white backgrounds if you follow my tutorial. So instead, I would say an sref for the general composition of every shot. Like, for example, like a long shot, medium shot, that kind of thing would probably work a lot better. So you can see this is the V6. Look at how much is just gone. Like, we don't even have the character in there anymore. It's just gone. But let's try this. This could be a little bonkers. I don't know if this is gonna work. Let's see if we just crack the code for sref by doing this. Let's copy our image here. Then we'll do a variation subtle. Set it to V6. Add sref. Add the image that we're bouncing it off of. Okay. And then I'm going to add Lily into this too. Why not? I'll just do the full body Lily. And Redhead working on old dusty complex plane engine. Sure. And let's just submit that. Let's see what it does. I haven't changed any codes from it, but I'm very curious. All right, so somebody up-resed one of them already, but let's take a look at this. Yeah, we have her kind of lean down. You notice that just how much white it reintroduced into the bottom of the frame here. Let me open this up a little bigger. It reintroduced a lot of white to the bottom of these spaces here. See that? And there's no mechanic bag, right? That's because I included image links. So now if I re-roll this, actually, whoops, sorry, re-roll won't work for that because it's an in-paint. I need to jump back up to the in-paint, go back to vary region, and then delete her image references here. It should be enough information to retain enough of her. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We might need to re-inject her back. Oh, look at this. Look at this. This is with the source ref jumping to V6. That's pretty fun. The style, the way the style both changes and doesn't change is really, really interesting to me. So we keep in mind, remember what this image looked like before. It looked like this, right? And then using sref and Lily's art, we brought it back. But now we have it as a V. We have it as a V6, right? So I can now pop this up here. And we can, in-paint her hands. We can make changes here. I'm just going to show you guys a quick demo of this, though. Let's go ahead and hit custom zoom. And then set the zoom to 1. Keep in mind, we still have the sref on there of her working in the mechanic thing. So I have very much suspect that the composition is going to stay largely the same for every one of these panels. But we'll see what happens. 2, 5. Keep it on V6. Keep that all together. And then I'm going to write comic panels depicting a redhead working on an old dusty complex plane engine. 2.5, zoom 1. And while that's happening, we'll take a look at the one where I only wrote mechanic bag, like reaching into mechanic bag or whatever, and no image prompts at all. Okay, it definitely didn't add a bag, but you notice that there's no more missing white ground anymore, right? So I like this hand that's coming up here. We might be able to just put a wrench in there and then put the bag down there. We're kind of shooting at the hip with this one here. But for now, I'm going to it kind of looks like she's grabbing a part of the plane that she took off already, right? And maybe he's like re-screwing that little bolt back in, right? That's an option. But let's go ahead. I'm just going to up-res the first one because I want to show you this really neat trick here. So by the time we get to this stage where we have maybe a couple, like 2 panels, 3 panels that we really like, but one of them doesn't really make sense, or maybe we want a different context there, you could just do this. You could just do vary region, select the entire panel that you don't like and just write comic panel. Every time that you guys make changes and correct the intent of the other comic panels, the better the one you're going to be injecting does, based on just writing comic panel, because it's just going to understand your context more. Like your intent is more understood that way. All right, from Niebuhr. Imagine combining the two SREFs and CREFs. Well, I hope we will be able to combine them. Yeah, right. We'll see. We'll see how that works. I have no idea. Like, I literally don't. I have no idea. I'm just as eager and excited as you guys. So, the main thing I want you guys to see here is that wherever you inpaint, it's going to look at everything else to decide what the context of that inpaint is, right? So I just wrote comic panels, and it only sees a redheaded girl leaning over on something kind of mechanic-y or whatever, and that could be from the code that's inside of, like, that we've baked into here, or it could be the just the literal image interrogation. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. It just works. So, like, we can now open this up, and these are the panels I filled in. Look, she's standing up on this one. Maybe there's a guide there going like, hey, there's someone here for you. You know, that kind of thing. And then she's frustrated. She has to get up after just getting started at work. Look, maybe she's frustrated at something that's happened here inside the engine, that someone else touched her work, you know? And these are all kind of wibbly wobbly, yeah, but you could just inpaint them and fix them. So, like, let's just say I really like this one up here where she seemingly gets interrupted by somebody. Let's put Michael in there. Why not? So we have this scene here. I'm going to do very region. And I'm going to put this like this, and I'll put another one here. Man in suit interrupts. Boop. And we'll submit that in. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the composition, though, like I you know, your weight on your source reference is really gonna be where we balance things out. I think it's gonna end up being that we're gonna basically have shot lists, right? Where it's like, okay, here's my comic, here's my character, here's my composition, like the layout, all that kind of stuff. I really, if I'm doing a 2-shot, I have an SREF of that 2-shot of 2 characters standing next to each other. I do think that composition is going to end up driving SREF, but I really don't know. The reason being, Rhapsody, is because, like, if we do like an anime screen cap, right? What's going to happen is it's going to randomize a whole bunch of different potential camera angles and all that stuff, and that might be what you want. But for me, for doing comic panels, I want to be able to predict my compositions, because a character that's really far away from camera in a comic is basically a little blob that no one can read, right? So, like, it makes sense. Like, if you look at my original Sage comics, I'll show this as a demo really quick. Just a sec. If you look at my original Sage comic here, do you guys notice something that's missing? That's like in every one of my other characters. That's something I emphasize that you guys do every time. I just have never had inside of the Sage prompts before, and that's because Sage is my first proper character that I've programmed in the Midjourney. I say programmed. That's a bit of a joke, but yeah, that I've input in the Midjourney. I'm missing her back. There's not a single image of Sage's back in this. And people kept criticizing me for the Sage's hair changing lengths, right? And you can even see that in this sheet. The expressions have a different length of hair than the master base pose does. It really just comes down to the fact that this was my first character that I really was like, wow, I'm getting good repeatable results. And this was back at, like, the start of V4, right? And so with those reliable results, it was like, cool, I'm happy with this, but every little change I do, I'm worried I'm going to break it. So I was like, okay, no, I'm going to keep going with Sage here. But the thing is that what I really needed was a complete turnaround. I really needed her more like Michael is here, where I had, like a side profile quarterback, that kind of thing. And even here, it's not, I still don't have a face front back, right? I have Victor. Victor has a proper back reference. But now, if I go to the modern Sage, which I'm not modern, the current my V2 Sage, she not only has the back of her head here, like we have her hip and back and all that sort of stuff. But the important thing is I've learned that you even having diversity in your turnarounds is important, because when too many things overlap into the same, they kind of cancel each other out. So like, I don't even have a complete turnaround for Sage, but I do have all the poses effectively acting as a turnaround. So it's a bit more of a condensed approach to it, and I'm not really too sure if I'm happy with all the results yet, but this is my 2.1 version of Sage. She's a little taller than she was before. Her hair is consistently longer than it was before, and I'm not sure if I want to keep that either. This is where I'm at with it. So there you go. That's 2.0 Sage. It's really fun to play with her when it comes to prompting with SREFs specifically. Okay, let's take a look at this. And then we'll be coming to a close here, because take a look at this. Okay, so we didn't get Michael in there at all. We were not able to prompt a person in there off of just the words alone, but we did get a hand that's here. That's cool. Wait, is this my prompt? Is this somebody else's? Nope, it's mine. Okay. Yeah. David has mentioned ControlNet several times now during the office hours, but not given any details yet on what form it will take. Yeah. I'm very curious. I'm very curious what sort of character approaches Midjourney ends up doing, but I'll leave that to him. I'm not gonna speculate. But what I want to show here is we have a hand coming in, so why don't we use this to tell a little more of the story? We got a hand reaching in. Let's actually try to enforce that we want a let's do very region. So we said man in suit interrupts, and it did interrupt. She was looking down, and there's now a hand in front of her. It kind of makes sense. It actually does. It makes sense why there would be a hand and not a person there on the top. So now I'm going to select a much larger region, and I'm just going to say just man in suit. And in terms of trying to control exactly how much of this image is shown there and stuff, we're going to submit this as is. Usually if you use image prompts at this stage without anything to inject into, it's a little unreliable. So what I've also done is I have switched to V6 for just the in paints in order to create maybe a composition that it doesn't really consider anime-like or whatever. I will just be like, no, now it's realism, but only in this small area. Like when I get frustrated at a certain spot, that's what I'll do. Never said over 3 hours already. Wow. Yeah, I know, right? It's I'm definitely getting towards the end here, guys. I really do appreciate y'all sticking around, especially if you stuck around for the whole 3 hours. That's crazy. You guys are nuts. I am impatient. I have trouble. I could sit still in one spot for hours and hours and hours. But you tell me to sign out, to sign like a DMV form or whatever, and I'm just miserable waiting in line, like for that. Oh my god. Getters said, I'm cream cracker. I'm cream crackered, knackered here, falling asleep. Thanks for all your time, Victor, and thanks AC and Kinky. Good night, folks. Oh no, thank you so much for coming. That's funny. I definitely bit of a tongue twister there, but I appreciate that. Thank you. It's a British thing. Got it. Let's take a look here. think we got a dude. Yes, we did. Look at that dude. He's there. He's kind of too close to camera. That is true. He's a little bit off frame here. I would personally re-roll this a couple times to get him into the right spot. So like, let me say far away man in suit. Oh no, he's not far away. He's handing her a wrench in the previous shot. So I would say like medium shot. Medium shot of man in suit. Oh yeah, no. So in my short film about my dad, who passed away about 8 years ago now, my short film focuses on Victor, this character that you're seeing talking to you right now. Victor talking to his daughter, about 20 years from now or so. And the point is that you don't really get told, but it's actually all happening in the past, right? See you. But the thing is about it is that he has a daughter, and the daughter's name is Maya. And my original plan was to be like, this sad girl is upset that everyone is frustrated at her, that of just her existing, right? And it's just a dad consoling their daughter who's upset. And I wanted it to originally end with them saying, hey, like, do you like, where's the dog? And they don't, and they look down the beach and they go, Blender, come back. And then just the dog's name is Blender as like the punchline of like, yes, I've been talking about 3D programs the whole time. Ha 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 ha. But it kind of deflated the kind of touching moment that I was trying to aim for with my dad. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna end with a stupid little fog joke and just leave it at that. So it's definitely true. 3D is gonna be mind blowing when we start to get into there. I know that's what Bay is like he's interested in, he's excited about it, but it's also like, I think that it's so close to what he did for years that it's like, okay, I can see it being also like a little too hands-offy, right? It's one thing when you got a bunch of image generations and we can kind of explore machine minds together, but it's another when we get into like 3D modeling and directly getting into meshes and all sorts of stuff like that. It's a lot. There's a lot of factors to it. But there is some AI 3D modeling things that are out there now. Like, say, I want a wrench, and then it makes you a generic shaped wrench that you can 3D print. It's pretty cool. Okay. Let's see if we got our man shot here. Not really. We didn't really get it. Yeah, he's not really in any of these shots. You know, sometimes I'm not willing to give up, though, because we did get him on that one. So I'm going to go for the second one here, just to show. Oh, I'm sure there are plugins. I'm sure there's plenty of plugins. Okay. So the one with the man with the suit here. Wait, I upres the wrong one, didn't I? Yes. I find myself doing that pretty often. I'm like, I want two, and then I click one or whatever. But we got him here. Because I have Michael saved, I can easily just highlight and select Michael in here. But the idea basically being here that, he's handing her a wrench or doing anything like that, that's cool. But now that we have two characters in the frame and she's kind of dominating the majority of it, you guys wonder what happens if we keep expanding? Because this is where I'm going to end the stream, is on this, because this is really where I go, like, I am stupid excited about the future of AI, is by doing this. Setting up a couple panels that I like, right? Setting the zoom to 1, asking for more comic panels, and then just copying that and submit. And the reason I copied it is because I want to hit custom zoom again, paste it, and then switch that to 5-2 as well. So we get two of them where there's like an extremely stretch and a somewhat mostly stretched version. And if we were like, okay, I really like this, but I think it's kind of constrained. It's not really giving me, like I feel like I want to see a little more of the environment. Just do a tighter aspect ratio, like 2-3 or something like that. Like come into here, boop boop, 2 and then 3, boom, and you will instantly see that the result is way cleaner when it comes to just I don't want a bunch of gobbledygook, whatever. I want just a little more scene, a little more environment. That's where you're going to benefit from doing smaller expansions. And you can see that's happening right now, where it's like it's just kind of adding more context to it being panels. So if you don't have any panels or unreliable panels that are showing up, you could just do a small change in your aspect ratio and it might add them. But now that we have all 4 of these panels largely depicting something that we want, let's see what happens when we expand. So this is the 3-2. You could see that we have interactions of characters talking backs of the heads, that kind of thing. Even a close up of her, like of her of her suspenders and stuff. If we now look at the bottom left here, we have her frantically working. That's what it looks like to me, is her frantically working on stuff. We have a couple of Cronenberg mishmashiness that happens here. On the other side here, we actually have more of the plane that's kind of getting generated. And we have 2 of her talking here, but you could easily have a brother or a sister or some other, like, narrative excuse for why you want to have 2 of the similar characters. I would just make a brother for this character and then inject them next to them, And let's take a look at this next one here. So with the one that we did at 5-2, this is the one where we're going to see the most amount of deviation from our intention, because all of our intent was baked inside of only these images here. So you could see now she's like in an apartment. There's a couple like odd like places where she's at. No warehouse though. But it's definitely kind of evoking her. It's just we're in this weird zone where it doesn't really understand anything about what we want to accomplish, because look at this. Think of it like this. When we set the zoom to 1, it's only referring to the center image, but it has to have this whole creative freedom for this large area that's here. And this is where I go, I don't want Midjourney to be that creative. I really want it to be under my direction of what I want it to do. So we could find whichever aspect ratio works the best for us, right? Hit reroll on that, and then just rate what context we want, okay? So it's like comic panels, interrupted by the boss. She yells at him. Okay, I'll write it as one sentence. She yells at him for interrupting her work. If we say just her work, it could be putting her on a desk or whatever. So, like, let's just say for interrupting her. She yells at him for interrupting at her. And I mean, I use gendered stuff quite often. Understand, I don't even really identify myself as male. So, like, it's like, yay! Like, I have to use gendered stuff to really force the AI bias in a direction that I think is believable. But it is certainly true that it is something that I am very conscious of, that I have to work with AI bias. And AI bias means like if I ask for a blonde woman, there's a good chance it's going to make her look stupid. And it's really frustrating that it does that, right? And it's just because there's 2 words for, like, there's like a literal definition of what a blonde person is, and then there's the social definition that has largely been antiquated now, but is still applicable. And I know this because when I wrote blonde woman for my tutorial, and then I transferred it to anime, it gave her idiot hair. Okay, it's a little poop on the top of the hair. That's called idiot hair. You can look it up. And I was like laughing so much because I was like, it translated like, oh, I'm a dumb blonde, to, oh, I have idiot hair now. And it did that without me talking about it, referring to it. A hoagie. Yeah, hey, yeah, that's what is this gender you speak of? What is this gender you speak of?
What do you mean?
So let's take a look here at what happened here when we wrote context. Look at this. Look at this. We have her upset, frustrated, looking up, like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Like what there's we already have so much just from giving it context. Just by giving it the human intent of what we want her, or what we think she should be doing here. It might look like a bit of gobbledygook now, right? There's a couple of things that are just kind of weird, but it's so much better just by telling her, oh yeah, I want this or whatever. Like this shot right here, this little tiny little shot that's right here of her looking up here. This could easily be a, hey, you've worked long enough, and then boom, there's like a beer or like a wine bottle or something that gets slammed down at the table here, and she gets surprised by it. But it could be like, you know, a love interest or whatever that interrupts her, and she decides to take the break. You know, there's so much you can infer just from the facial reactions that it generates for you, that I am so curious to see the stories that you guys tell. Like, I want you guys to tell me what happens, who she's interacting with, all that kind of stuff, and we can just all do it together on my Discord. So I'll leave it off on this. If you go to my website, victorgnarly.com, Kiki's been doing a great job linking everything. I really appreciate that. But if you do go to Victor Gnarly, you get all my comics. You get everything that I've made so far with Midjourney. But you could also click this Discord button up here, and that will bring you to my Discord. You can click here to get to my Instagram, the YouTube channel where all these videos get uploaded. There's a dead bird over here, and then Twitch if you want to watch my Sunday Twitch streams where I do like Pika Lab video renders and stuff. So you guys, I'm gonna leave it there. But if there's any other like last minute like questions or anything like that, feel free to come onto my Discord. I'll hop on there with Rhapsody, and we'll hang out for a bit. And we'll see until my voice gives out. We'll see what happens. But thank you so much to Kinky and Ancient for hosting again, and we'll be sure to keep going. Oh my God, look at these videos.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for being here every week, and we love hearing from you. The server is linked at the bottom of the chat if anybody wanted to join that and go see what they are up to. And I hope you guys come around during the weekend. Saturday and Sunday we have prompt battles, and if you haven't been there, you should really check it out. It's a great time. Yeah. I hope you guys all have a great weekend, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, and thank all of you all so much. Rez, Zelshi, Niebuhr, Waxen, Hillgarden, Fungimancer. It's I mean, all you guys, man. I mean, it's so cool to have faces that I recognize every week. It really does make me feel a little less lonely when it comes to a lot of the AI stuff, especially in the art world right now. So thank you guys so much for being here. You all have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and see you on Sunday if you want to do some video stuff too. Okay? All right. Later.
Bye.